Get ready, Ohio. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, is coming to the Buckeye State. And to kick things off, you can get started with $100 in free bets as an early sign-up bonus. Just download FanDuel's top-rated sportsbook app. Make every moment more with FanDuel. 21 plus and present in Ohio. Bonus issued and non-withdrawable free bets that expire 30 days after FanDuel accepts its first real money sports wager in Ohio. Go live date. Unique user identity verification required. Offer ends on the go live date. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Super J Cast. I'm Joel, joined by David McDonald. It is Thursday, 29th of December 2022. This is episode 240 and the last episode of the calendar year 2022. So Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to all our listeners. Steve O'Neill says, absolutely basic end of year question. What's your 2023 wrestling resolution? Mine is to book a trip to Japan for Wrestle Kingdom 18.
Yeah. Hi everyone. Happy holidays. My wrestling? You know what it is? It's to reconnect with people that I have intentionally fallen by the wayside. I feel like that.
So you're going to rejoin the Discord then?
No. I don't think I'm ready for that. Because those people are maniacs. And they don't like me. No, I mean, I think...
What do you mean they don't like you?
They don't. They don't. Joel, you can't tell me they like me. They don't like me.
They love you.
No, they don't. They don't. They think I'm old and decrepit and they don't love me. I don't know.
We're going to make a poll right now.
I want to make a poll. Do you love Damon or not? And I guarantee you, I'll tell you what, if you put that up there right now, I guarantee you over 60% would be like, nah, don't like him.
All right, I'll do it.
All right, do it. Do it. But that's my wrestling resolution, to reconnect on things and people that I may have pushed aside for various reasons, right? Not you, Joel.
No, you'll never be able to push me aside. I'm going to be there clinging onto you like a limpet foot. Forever. You're my golden ticket.
You're my golden ticket, pal. Let me tell you something. Can we just hug each other and hold each other? Maybe, with your hairy chest, make out. You do have a very hairy chest.
Absolutely. I mean, again, and the fact that we've reached the end of a year and are still doing this stupid podcast is something worth celebrating. How many years has it been now?
It is amazing, isn't it? That we do do this.
5 years.
Oh, my God. You got to be kidding me. Like, what are we doing?
Even through all this pandemic horseshit and me having 2 kids. Hey, I didn't have a child this year, so that's something to celebrate as well.
Yay. Good job by you.
The rate Maddie was popping them out.
Wait, there's a third kid, but it's not mine.
Well, yeah, then there'd certainly be some questions asked.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though.
Medical procedures I've had.
Well, yeah. I don't, do you think you've had any, have you had a Duran moment with this podcast? Just someone coming up to me and be like, oh my God, Joel, blah, blah. When I say someone, I mean a female. No, nobody's come up to you, right?
Yeah, when I went to Dominion in 2018, so bear in mind this was when the podcast was still relatively fresh. Well, it was a male and a female. It was Sean, friend of the show, Sean, who came up to me while I was in the Starbucks outside of Sacagawea Hall, and him and his partner said that they were listeners and fans of the podcast. So at that moment, I knew I was a massive international celebrity superstar, and I had to keep it going forever.
You're like, I do a podcast, let's do a threesome. That'd be great.
You know, I mean, in the DMs in Twitter with some of the best wrestlers on the planet.
That's
big
true,
deal, Damon.
I'm not going to lie. Like, every time you send me a screenshot I'm like, all right, I guess we're doing something right. Like, again, I'm not here to pump chests and do victory laps and all, but
Speak for yourself. I am. That's the only reason I'm here.
Right. But it is amazing what we have done with this show and the amount of, I'll say it, active in-ring performers will text us and talk to us and give us a good word and all that. And that's pretty cool. I mean, not for nothing. I mean, that's very cool.
I find it absolutely stunning that they could give a solitary shit what I would think about a wrestling match. I mean, well,
here's the thing.
I mean, you've actually wrestled. You've taken a bump, so you know what it's like. But
well, I'll tell you this.
Does anyone give a shit what I think about wrestling?
Because here's the thing. One, pro wrestlers just by nature are very vain. Like they want that approval. And two, look, I'm not going to sit here and pump our chests, but like we're really fucking good. We're great at what we do.
I mean, I have said that to you off. Yeah, there are some mornings where the alarm's gone off and I've woken up, 4 a.m. whatever, like what the fuck, to wake up and talk about fucking Road to Don Tackle or whatever, and thinking, why are we doing this? But then we start talking, and when the show's finished, I'm like, yeah, we're pretty.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah. Because we're great and funny and lovable, and if anybody wants to just make out
sexy,
yes. Well, I don't know about sexy. I'm quite overweight right now, but I'm very. You want to cuddle? I'm your guy, right? Come on. And
yeah, they're very cuddable, extremely horny. Yeah. So get in there.
Right. If you're a girl, just slide on into Joel's DMs and be like,
yeah, I'll be your agent. I'll be the filter.
Yes, please. Yes, and send pics, please. None of you dopey guys. By the way, I don't think we've ever had a sexy photo sent our way, have we?
Well, that does lead me on to our next segment of the show. But from listeners, I don't believe so, no. I've never been solicited sexually as a result of this podcast.
I don't think we made it then.
Apart from the erotic fanfic, but I don't know if that counts.
No, I need pics. I desperately need pics.
Yeah, listeners, if you're listening, dick pics, please.
No, not those. I don't want those. I'm not interested in those.
I'll take them.
Really?
Just out of pure curiosity more than anything.
Right. Measure yourself up and be like, oh, they're shooting.
I'm talking exclusively to the wrestlers here.
Yes.
Wrestlers, if you are listening, please send me a photo of your penis. Just
please.
So I can
we will. Yeah, we'll crop out any incriminating evidence. But if you want to send dick pics, we'll send that out.
Whoever's got the biggest,
yeah,
I will make the Super J-Cast Wrestler of the Year. I will fiddle with the data.
Yeah, well, fuck the votes. Who cares about that? We want to see your dicks. Come on. What do you say? Oh, what a day today. I'm not gonna lie. Oh, dude. I went to lunch and I was just like, I'm just gonna go to the bar. And I was there for hours, and then I'm hitting up like old girlfriend. I'm a mess right now.
Just to check in on them, just to see how they do, because you're kind of sensitive man.
Look, it's the holidays, and I want to make sure everybody's good. And can I just share a quote with you? This is a good quote. I'll share this if I can find it. Here we go. Let me see if I can share this with you. All right, let's do this. And I quote. I am
Hello Fresh, is it?
This is the quote. I am sorry I was mean to you, but not on purpose. Just young and stupid. It was me, not you. How about that?
Yeah, so thanks very much for that. I was trying to think of a wrestler. I was going to put a wrestler who's been mean to us, but no wrestlers have been mean to us. They all love us. They all think we're fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Reddit.
I know. Reddit's things. All right, where are we going today? We have a busy bee show.
Right, you want sexy pics, David. I've got you covered. Let's talk the NJPW Concurso.
Here it is.
Have you heard about this? The bodybuilding competition.
Bodybuilding competition, yes.
So Daryl says, I know we're at the eve of the biggest show of the year, so my question is, have you seen this shirtless docky pic? Who knew that this guy has that body?
Yeah.
Now, that's my biggest takeaway. I don't know if you've seen the winners. I've got the list of the winners here, but you may remember, maybe was it last year? Or I think it was last year, and then a six-man match that culminated with Docky taking his shirt off in front of the Korakuen crowd.
Yep.
And he didn't have the best looking. He didn't have the best looking body.
No.
And in New Japan, a company where they are big body guys. I mean, you've got to have the look if you want to get the big push. This guy has been fucking working out, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Look at him.
Yeah.
Absolutely ripped and jacked. And I'm not joking. Like, that could be the difference between an IWGP junior title run or not. So having seen how fucking good he looks now, I'm saying it now, he's going to be winning that junior title next year, maybe a bit too early. I don't know. He looks great.
All right, let's go through him because I got Tanahashi here. He looks great. He looks old, but honestly, that back shot is like ridiculous muscles, right? Kojima has drawn in abs, which is I can respect. Honma looks good. You know what I mean? Like, he looks incredibly over-tanned, but like muscularly wise.
He looks like one of the zombie hollow enemies from Dark Souls that have no skin.
Yeah.
He's just like sort of shriveled, knotted pink sinew. That's what he looks like.
Just over-tanned and just... All right, Taguchi looks a mess. I'm not going to lie. And a ridiculously small penis, right? I think we would agree on that, right?
Maybe it was cold.
I hope it was. And here's the thing. He just looks like he better eat vagina because he doesn't have the penis to make it happen.
Well, we know he's going to eat ass. So
well, that's true. Right. There you go. Watto can get up the street. Jado looks weird. Like, looks like it's like photoshopped or something. But for his age, he looks good. Yo looks good. Not gonna lie, Yo looks good. Nakashima. I don't know. I don't think he's winning this one. What is it? Oya? Legs are unbelievable. Fujita, great. Doki looks great. I gotta be honest with you. I think Doki looks outstanding. Tamatonga is trying hard. He's looking good. Clark Connors looks like a gay porn star. He does. That is just a very look. There are guys jacking it to Clark Connors as we speak.
My hand is unconsciously sort of working its way downwards.
Alex Coughlin looks photoshopped. Like the waist looks photoshopped. But if it's not, God bless him. Titan. Titan looks...
We've had a lot of nice things to say about Titan's penis over the years.
Yes, of course. Doki looks great. And it might be just like the backlight and the way it's shot. It looks like $1 million. Not going to lie. It looks like $1 million.
So who would you pick as your winner?
Doki. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I would have picked him as well. He actually came in... I deleted the results.
Oh.
Second place. No, the winner was Tamatonga. So we had the first place Tama, then Doki, Yo, Lindemann, and Fujita. So Tamatonga walking away with it. But Doki, number 2, that's a clarion call. I mean, nailed on future champion there.
I mean, Tamatonga looks good. I'm not going to lie. And it looks like, not a huge difference, but a big difference between what he was in these pictures. It looks good. He really does look good, but Doki looked like, honestly, if you told me that was Doki, like if he had no mask on, I would be like, there's no, that who? Like he has, not only does he have a six pack, he has this fucking weird abdomen muscle on the side that looks pretty amazing. I'll tell you what, I'm going to say this being that, got a couple of men in me. I think he might be Doki. Might be, and I would be happy with a poll. The sexiest New Japan Pro Wrestler on the roster. Like, imagine if you're a young lady.
Wow.
Yes. Imagine if you're a young lady and him in that mask, that wild persona, and that body. Holy shit. Gonna rock your world. Rock your world. Whew. I'm going Doki. Yep.
And especially with all the goodwill coming out for the recent Suzuki-gun events, yes. I think could be a bright future ahead for Doki. You know, he's not the youngest guy. How old is he? Is he 30?
I think he's 106.
He's born in 31. He's born in 1991, so he's 31. So, yeah, I mean, pro wrestling status, that's not that old. So,
oh, it looks good.
I think, let's do it. Let's pull the trigger on Doki in 2023. Oh, before I forget, let's plugs, right? If you haven't already voted in our end of the year awards poll, please do that. That is pinned to the Twitter page. And have a read of my insane Secret Santa piece that I wrote about a brilliant Meiko Satomura versus Akira Hokuto match that I'd never seen before. And it blew my mind. It was so incredible that I wrote one of the most ridiculous pieces of writing that I've ever churned out in my life. I read it back after, so I can't send this to Rich.
It is
this is too much.
It is. That was, and I texted you. That is honestly one of the funniest, well-written, just like, let's hook you in the beginning, and we're just going to see how this ends to the end. Piece of writing that I have ever read. So honestly, if you have not logged on to Voices of Wrestling and read this, it is at the very least hilarious, and at the peak, maybe one of the best reviews of a match I've ever read.
I'm very flattered. I'm glad that someone actually read it. But yeah, it's just one of these. I wrote one last year for the Secret Santa and just reviewed the match, and I was like, "Fucking hell, this is boring. This is terrible. No one actually wants to read stuff like this." So I just let my insecure mental health breakdown play out on the page, which obviously made for good content there. All right, let's move on then. So we've got a lot to get through. Speaking of sexy bodies, did you see one Bronson Reed, the artist formerly known as Jonah, popping up back in WWE?
I did. Look, I'm not going to lie. I mean, it's disappointing, I think, to many of what could have been, but I can't blame the dude because I think that was always the end goal, and he played his part well while he was here in New Japan, and it was fun. It was great, but at the end of the day, we kind of all knew that might be an option, especially with big Paul running the show now. So a little disappointing, but we always have the memories. We always have the memories of Jonah.
Yeah. I mean, what a moment that was, the match in Osaka, which was a clap crowd, but the crowd was so thrilled by the prospect of this monster coming off the top rope and squashing the Hero Okada that they lost their shit. Yeah. It was amazing.
It was amazing.
And Phil says, how would you have booked Jonah if he stayed with New Japan? I mean, I think they booked him perfectly as it is, and I think the way they booked him, to me, indicates that they had a pretty good idea he was going to be leaving at the end of this run anyway. They knew he wanted to go back to WWE, and I'm sure he was honest about that. So I don't think this is like a great betrayal or anything. I don't think the New Japan office would have been shocked like this, and I don't think there's anything wrong with getting in a guy like Jonah on the short term, do a little story, have him, the incoming monster, destroying your hometown hero, and then a little story arc where the hero gets his win back at the end. I thought that's perfect.
Yeah.
That's what pro wrestling used to be all about, with all the territories and that. So I don't think it's necessary to lock down every single talent you have working for you to long-term contracts. I think actually it can be a good thing in a lot of ways to have a guy coming in just for a fresh, exciting short run, and then they go after us. And look, the door's open, I'm sure, if he ever wants to come back, if it doesn't work out at WWE, which who knows? There's no job security there. He could moonwalk back into New Japan at the end of this run, and the fans would be excited to see him rather than him sort of being downcycled and working sort of smaller feuds. There's plenty there on the table for him. I would have loved to see him work Naito. That was a big one I wanted to see, but yeah, I don't think, if you put a gun to my head and said, have we seen the last of Jonah in New Japan? I would say probably not.
Yeah, probably not. And I think people get all worked up over guys leaving, and like, it's not 10 years ago. It's not 20 years ago. I think we are in a completely different time where guys working for one promotion can talk about and reference another promotion or another wrestler that's working there. And I think there's going to be a little bit more fluidity all around. That's a good thing. That's an exciting thing. The days of locking guys down to exclusive contracts, I don't even know if you need that at this point.
Can New Japan afford to do that as well? They're not
no.
so hot financially, are they?
Yeah. I mean, look, they have a Bushiroad conglomerate that, helps.
No, but all the money's gone on Mercedes Venado. That's it. There's nothing left in the budget.
I'll tell you what, though. Look, as weird as it is for us doing a New Japan Pro Wrestling podcast for as many years as we have, like, the 4th is going to be exciting. Like, between her and Kenny, and like, there are things that are in the pipeline that will have casual fans back on board. I mean, I don't know if there was a more vocal fan base between the two, between Sasha and between Kenny. I don't think there is. They're both maniacs in a very good way, and I mean that in a very good way. But yes, they're passionate. If that equates into buys and subscriptions and buzz and sharing of online images, I am all for it. And truth be told, I'm very excited by the prospects of it.
Yeah, me too. As long as fucking TVSI go nuclear with everyone sharing all this excitement.
Yeah.
Here's something else that this may be exciting to you. They had the recent Ganu show where we had the Shibata Tom Lawler match. Spoiler alert, Shibata won that match. So who knows where that might lead up. New Japan were promoting it. And again, we have big question marks over what's going on with Shibata. My working theory is that it's insurance related. I think, the fact that New Japan are promoting this stuff means that I don't think they have any ill will towards Shibata working AEW or working this Gary Ujima match and doing things of that nature. But that could be the only reason I could think of why they wouldn't use it. But hey, maybe that will change. But the interesting thing here was one, Kota Ibushi attending the show live and, according to photos, sitting with Kidani and Obari. So do you think there is any fire to this smoke, Damon? Do you think things might have been smoothed over, or do you still expect Ibushi to be going on to greener pastures when his contract's up?
I mean, that's a good sign. That's to be able to sit next to a person that you feel has done you wrong is a huge step. Can't dispute that. Does that mean he goes back into the New Japan fold? I don't know. But
that could be the Yokohama show. It could be an Ibushi comeback show.
Look, I think everyone listening to this, and even not listening to this, wants that to happen. Wants him to return in a big spotlight.
Not our Discord.
Wow. Our
Discord hate Ibushi more than they hate you, Damon.
Really? They don't like. Why would you not like Ibushi? Seriously. Like look. People get hurt by what other people might think are just hand wavy comments. Like, I mean, it broke his heart. His heart was broken. I hope that they reconcile. I hope that they make amends, not just for my pro wrestling viewing pleasure, but he's an incredibly talented guy who can add incredible levels to any program. Like, I don't, why does Discord hate them? Why? Tell me why. Tell me why.
Because they're a bunch of contrarian bastards. They wouldn't acknowledge that because I love them, but we're terrible people.
Can we fight them? Can we fight our own Discord? You're wrong, Discord. By the way, Discord run. Okay, go.
Let's move on then and talk about Suzuki-gun. So we had the pair of shows at Korakuen Hall, the Road to Tokyo Dome. And the main one I want to zoom in on, of course, is the Friday, December 23rd main event, which was Taka Michinoku, El Desperado, Lance Archer, and Minoru Suzuki versus Doki, Kanemaru, Taichi, and Zack. So it finished with Zack pinning Suzuki after 90 minutes, 11 seconds with the Zack driver in what was Suzuki-gun's final match. So a very emotional moment with some really touching tributes both in-ring and backstage with guys on the microphone, various members of Suzuki-gun talking about how much it meant to them to be a part of the group. I think it was notable that it was Zack who got the pin before he hit the Michinoku driver, the Zack driver, on Suzuki. He said, "Thank you, Suzuki," before smashing his head into the canvas, which was nice. So they're done. Dangerous Techers are done. They go their separate ways. There were a bit of controversy about the fact that this was a clap crowd show, but I don't really have a strong feeling on that because whilst it would have been nice for it to be a cheering show, I think it's also important that they open up that event to as many fans as possible to allow people the chance to see it in person and say goodbye to Suzuki-gun, to all those, loyal fans that have supported them over the last 3 years. I think suddenly, halving the attendance might have been a bit of kick in the teeth for them. But, I'm sitting on the fence there because I can see both sides of the argument there. We had a great pop at the end where Izuka came out and got his iron fingers back. That was the one thing that got the loudest reaction from the whole show. Lance Archer, he was furious backstage. He was very angry at being underutilized in AEW. He might have backtracked on some of that, but he says he wants an IWGP shot, and he was fired up, and it made me think, maybe he should stick around in New Japan. They seem to be using him better than AEW do, who, they've got a huge roster, and I could certainly see a place for Lance Archer in New Japan next year. Question from Clem Fandango. Yes, I can hear you, Clem Fandango. Says, who do you think will benefit most from the end of Suzuki-gun, and conversely, who do you think will be hurt most by the dissolution? So, David, your thoughts, please, on the end of Suzuki-gun.
Sad. It's and it felt like it was very quick. The first we've heard of it it felt like just mere weeks ago, and then here we are. I love them. I thought that was one of my favorite factions. I think Lance Archer, for a Christian gentleman, has a potty mouth, a lot of F-bombs backstage. I don't know what this will look like in a month or two, like what faction or how that's going to look or who's going to be involved or any of that. But this was more than chaos. This was a faction that could go either way, heel, face, and deliver. And I almost like them more as kind of like that somewhat babyface faction, like when they would go against Bullet Club, stuff like that. I worry about the Dokis. I do worry about the Kanemaros. I do worry about even Lance Archer to a certain degree. I mean, the promo gives you a little bit more confidence that they're going to use him in the future, but like it's those kind of guys that you're just like, okay, so what does that mean for these people? I think Despy will land on his feet, and that's no problem. I think Zack, again, Taichi as well. But I think we are in an age where everything that we are somewhat used to and has been the norm in New Japan is, look, we are turning a page. And I think that's from top to bottom with New Japan. And yes, it's exciting. Yes, it's the idea of change is scary and somewhat unpredictable. But I got to be honest with you, I think we need it, and I think it's a good thing. So I appreciate the fact that they had the balls to do that.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the roster now. I think Zach and Despy will be fine. I think they're sort of stars in their own right, and they may actively benefit from this depending on what the outcome is faction-wise. Maybe there's a new faction. Doki, I think, conversely, I think he may benefit from this by having the sort of Suzuki dissolution goodwill as a little extra story for him. Him being the last member to join and the fortuitous circumstances by which he joined, I think that's got a nice built-in narrative, and I think he's made himself so popular with the fans now that I think he will benefit from this. I'm worried about Kanemaru, yes. I'm also weirdly worried about Taichi, and I hope I'm completely wrong about this, but I'm not sure the company love him as much as I did. I'll get on to talking about Taichi later when we talk about Takataichi Mania, but I could, would I be shocked if he is the guy that gets sent over to All Japan to do some work for them in exchange for, I don't know, Jake Lee or whatever? Wouldn't shock me, because I don't know if the company are really behind Taichi in the way that I hope they are, but
that's a shame.
I hope I'm very wrong about that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he's like one of those people that are, I can't even say diamond in a rough. Like, there's no rough.
Too fucking right. Again, I've got a whole spiel to go on about Taichi, so I'm going to save it.
Okay.
This is actually a nice transition to the JTO 50th anniversary for Takataichi together. The last Takataichi, which, as sad as we are to see Suzuki go, I'm really sad to see the back of Takataichi Mania, because they've been, laying the shows on quite thick recently, but they just don't miss. They've been so fantastic, and this show was no exception. How much of this did you see, David?
I think the last half. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll just quickly go through just little thoughts I had. So I started watching from the Tomoka Inaba defeating Suzuki match, which, really fantastic. Again, I'm not a huge Joshi expert by any means, but I can imagine that stardom would be after both of these wrestlers. They're both only 20, but still fairly experienced with that young age. So, we may see them in stardom in the future. Who knows? We also saw Doki and Suzuki defeat Junkasai and Tomoaki Honma by referee's decision. It's just an absolute fucking bloodbath, this match. And I'm going to miss Takataichi Mania, not least for being able to put weird, disgusting matches like this that just look bizarre on paper but turn out to be absolute bangers because of the crowd and just the absolute sickos involved. Give me a Suzuki versus Honma singles match in 2023, please. I think that would rule. And Honma, for all people talk about his lack of mobility, he remains one of the very best at getting the crowd invested in his matches with, relatively little sizzle there. And, the term psychology gets thrown around a lot these days. I think a lot of people don't really know what it means, but I think Tomoaki Honma is still an absolute master at it, getting the crowd on side and having them living and die by every little moment with his, selling his facial expressions, his emoting, and just the tremendous post-match visuals here of Suzuki looking like an absolute psychopath with blood streaming down his face. That actually makes his funny faces look truly demonic when he's pissing blood at the same time.
Yeah. Look, these are experts to me. Like just watching this match, you're watching pros. They don't have to do crazy shit. They don't have to do complete nonsense. Like, they're doing relatively safe stuff. Yet you're into it. You're invested. And again, these are people that mobility wise probably are not at the top of their game, but they're pros and they're able to hook you in and take you for a ride. I don't want to say better than others, but still great. It's unbelievable. And yes, these shows are some of my favorite. Just because this is a perfect example, and this match is a perfect example of, let's remove, and not to say that New Japan has these, but even a small bit, let's remove handcuffs. Let's let them do what they do best. And this was it. This was, again, we're not talking about a classic match. We're not talking, but these are pro wrestlers doing pro wrestling things that I'd be hard pressed to name another pro wrestler that could do the same things that they can do. It is a magical thing. And again, you don't always need all the moves with a Z. Sometimes it's something as simple as,
jabbing a fork into your head.
Yes. Yes. Relatively safe, but yes.
Okay, we had a no disqualification tag team match between Suzuki-gun, El Desperado, and Lance Archer, defeating Damnation, which was MJ Paul and Daisuke Sasaki. Was it Daisuke Sasaki? Was it Gambare, Ace, Harashima? Who really knows? In this, crazy, busy, moving day and age, who knows which wrestlers you're actually watching in the ring when they're having a wrestling match? But the takeaway here is Despy said that if he wins at Wrestle Kingdom, he wants to give Daisuke Sasaki a title shot in New Japan or DDT or Freedoms. So Gin Kenshin leaning into the humor says, where do you think the Despy versus Harashima match is going to happen? They pretty much set up a no DQ match on the Takataichi Mania show. So where does it happen? I can't see it in DDT. I would make a Freedom's death match between Despy and Daisuke Sasaki would be a lot of fun, because I don't think, I think Despy's got that devil in him. He likes to have those matches from time to time. And I was going to say New Japan don't like doing that stuff. They did it in the States. Despy and Mox had that pretty bloody death match, so maybe they will do it in New Japan. Maybe they'll surprise me. So we'll wait and see on that one. We had a best out of 3 falls match with Hiromu defeating Taka Michinoku. This was best out of 3 falls, the gimmick being that Taka would win 1 million yen if he kicks out of the nameless Hiromu roll at any point, and Hiromu would get 1 million yen if he kicked out of the Michinoku driver 2 at any point, and they both did that, so they broke even in the end. And Hiromu says he is going to use the Michinoku driver 2 at Wrestle Kingdom, and he's naming it the Hiromu driver 2, so keep an eye out for that as a little lore nugget. Any strong feelings on either of those 2 matches, Damon?
It was a fine match, but yeah, I mean, is anybody like, oh my god, the Michinoku drive? I don't think it's that big of a deal.
You will be now, dear listener. Now that I've circled that one for you, you'll see it in the match, and you'll go, Joel pointed that out now. The match will have a whole extra layer of meaning and significance to you.
How are they going to say
Definitely not. Okay, main event, there was a New Japan King of Pro Wrestling title last man standing lumberjack match. Shingo Takagi defeating Taichi by KO, 29 minutes 39 seconds. Damon, the who's who of great matches: Tiger Mask versus Dynamite Kid, Ricky Steamboat versus Ric Flair, Brett versus Owen, Misawa versus Kobashi, Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels. You could now add Taichi versus Shingo Lumberjack Texas Death Match for the provisional KOPW 2022 title to that auspicious list of matches to receive the full 5 stars from friend of the show, Dave Meltzer. So this is going to go down in history as a truly legendary match. And look, I enjoyed this a lot. And to be fair to him, I think one of the things that Dave really liked about it was they stuck to the stipulation, the Texas Death Match, where you pin a guy for the 3 count, and then they've got the 10 count to answer the bell. A bit clunky. I don't really like the 10 count last man standing match, but they did stick to it in an authentic way. So well done to them for doing that. I think they've had better matches, but it was still tremendous. I mean, it's always great to watch these 2 guys. And I think KOPW has been really good this year between Taichi and Shingo, their work rate, their creativity. Let's talk about Shingo for a bit, because there's nothing for him at Wrestle Kingdom. He says he won't be at the Dome. He says he's done with KOPW. Andrew writes in and says, Shingo said after Takataichi he won't be appearing at the Tokyo Dome show. Do you have any information? Is this some sort of angle with a disgruntled outsider old men like Shingo or Taichi, a quid pro pro with AEW, just de-emphasize the odds? Or I was just throwing in my own theory, which other people have suggested, maybe this could be the start of Takagi-gun. Maybe he's going to lead his own faction of disgruntled people who have been left off the Wrestle Kingdom card. So, Dave, your thoughts on this match and what could be next for Shingo?
Yeah, we don't know. And if we listen further with we haven't mentioned it as of yet, our wonderful...
I know, I was just thinking that what a terrible job I'm doing. We've got a fantastic interview lined up with the great Kevin Kelly. I don't know if we'll put it at the beginning of the show or the end of the show to force them to listen to the strong along.
I say we force them to listen to us. Nonsense. Okay. Yeah. Which is incredible. And even he was just like, they, and I use the term, a lot of steak and not much sizzle, which is great. But that does mean some people have to take a back seat, and some people may not make a show. Shingo being one of them. I think he'll be there. He'll be at the Dome. He's not going to sit in his fucking PJs, watching soft core porn. He's going to be at the Tokyo Dome. In what capacity? Well, it looks like Rumble for now, and then maybe KOP W nonsense. Do we think that is a good spot for him? Probably not. He's a very talented gentleman who I feel at the very least should have a singles match. But okay, again, it is what it is, and we're going to go with what we're going to go with, which is not a bad show at all. The future, I wish I could tell you. I honestly, I think it's more King of Pro Wrestling stuff. And again, a challenge maybe here and there throughout the year, but I don't want to say a backseat, but maybe a backseat in 2023.
Yeah, I think they're going to do it. I think they're going to give him his own faction.
Yeah,
there's a hot take for you. I think he's talented enough, experienced enough. He's got enough leadership skills that they could do it. There's enough guys sort of floating around on the roster who either don't have a faction or don't really fit in their current faction that I think they could do a really good job of that. So I'm saying yes to Takagi-gun. I don't know if that's something that they're going to pull the trigger on at Wrestle Kingdom itself. Maybe Shingo comes out after the main event to beat up, let's say, Okada, if Okada wins the main event, to set up something for the next Wrestle Kingdom or future down the line. But I think he's way too talented for them to just leave him with nothing. And I think the way that he's been talking makes me, again, think that there is no smoke without fire there.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, just looking back on this show as a whole, Takataichi Mania as a concept, there aren't any other shows that deliver this mix of in-ring quality and hot crowds and genuinely real moving moments that Takataichi Mania did. And this show was a genuinely emotional touch in tribute to all the people who supported the pair of them on this journey, particularly the friendship between Taka and Taichi. And in their own words, they said they're a couple of bums. They're scumbags who made it further than they ever expected by carving out a small but dedicated niche of fellow sicko followers. And David, I can't help but see a lot of myself and you when I say all of this. They're an extremely relatable group. I'm, of course, not comparing our success with that of Taka and Taichi's, but just a similar energy, I think, of, just a pair of surly dickheads who maybe did a bit better than they thought they were going to do. And look, we've got to do this. I have to do this. Let's give flowers for Taichi, who, to me, has been the real leader of this faction for the last couple of years. And like I say, he might look at first blush like a grumpy dickhead. He absolutely is, but there's so much depth to him. I love his quiet stoicism, his self-deprecating honesty. He's always taking to piss out of himself. He's gracious in defeat. He's unwaveringly loyal. He's got a wonderful dry sense of humor. His creativity in these KOPW matches, like particularly that 30 count one, which was tremendous. That's going to be one of my matches of the year. His nerdiness, he's into the sumo and the video games, all the little reference he puts in, the care and the thought he puts into, silly little things like the Iron Fingers law, all those wacky YouTube videos he's done. He puts over everyone else. He makes everyone else look like stars. One of the best promos in the company. In ring, he can absolutely do that top tier Ishii, Shingo style that all the casuals love, but Taichi rarely gets his props from the more ignorant circles of the fan base. The people who dig their heels in with smooth brain takes from 2017. And like I said before, I'm worried he's never going to reach the summit of this company, but holy shit, does he absolutely deserve that for becoming, to me, the realest babyface in the company in such a sincere and heartfelt way that can't be faked. There's real authenticity there. So big question mark. What does 2023 hold for Taichi? I don't know, because there's no Suzuki-gun, no Takataichi Mania, no Miho. He says he's done with Miho Abe. There's no Dangerous Tekkers. So he says he's going to be Lonely-gun. So again, I'm very worried and excited in equal measure. I hope there's something big for Taichi in 2023, but I really don't know, because he's not a young guy. What is he? He's 40 years old, I want to say. So I'm scared, David. Talk to me about Taichi.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't think there's any one wrestler in New Japan that has turned the tables on fans like him. Like he was a guy that was an easy fast forward, an easy skip. I get where people kind of hand wave the gimmick and all of it. But like in the past 2 or 3 years, he has been, dare I say, not only non-skippable, but really damn fucking good. And everything that you mentioned, like he's done during a pandemic and crowds and all of that. I don't know what, like, it is exciting. Change is exciting. But I don't think anybody truly knows what's up for any of them. I don't know why they have to, like, was there an explanation of why they had to stop these shows? Like
no, they said they want to go their separate ways.
All right. I mean, look, just put on a mask and just pretend you're. These shows are some of the most enjoyable shows of the year, hands down. They have a nice mix of great wrestling, brawling, nonsense, sentimental stuff. I will be sad to see those shows go. I am excited, although I don't know what the future holds for people like Zach, Taichi, Doki, all of them. Hopefully they have something in the mix. Hopefully they have some plans for him. Hopefully they have something up their sleeves. But yeah, I mean, Taichi, I think, is one of those people that made the most, like they gave him the ball and he more than ran with it. He ran for a touchdown. That's my sports analogy. Thanks. But he is without question a like he should be a big piece in New Japan in 2023.
Here. All right, we're an hour in and we haven't talked Wrestle Kingdom yet.
Lord.
So I think it's been a lot of important stuff. I think all that stuff we discussed, including the bodybuilding, was really important to get to. So here we go, Wrestle Kingdom 17 in Tokyo Dome. So we're going to start with the opening match 1, which is a 3-minute time limit exhibition match. So Ryohei Oiwa versus the debuting Oleg Boltin, or Boltin Oleg as they're calling him. As much as I would like this to be Oleg suplexing Oiwa so hard that he shits his pants of winning in 10 seconds, I think this is most likely going to be a 3-minute time limit draw, and we're just going to get to see Oleg Boltin display some of his grappling skills. I don't think we're going to see anything too dramatic here.
I hope so. I mean, I hope it's a little bit of a showcase for him. 3 minutes is not a lot of time. That will go very quickly. I mean, hopefully he can get an impressive spot in or two and, make an impression that way. But 3 minutes is, that's seriously, in front of a crowd that's just filing into the stadium, a cavernous stadium. That's a tough ask. So hopefully he has a couple spots that they have planned for him that can wake people up from coming into the arena.
Opening match 2 is the KOPW 2023 Right to Challenge New Japan Rambo. So a few changes here. First of all, wrestlers will be entering from the ramp rather from the sides. We're going to have the 4 finalists of this match wrestling a 4-way match at New Year Dash to decide the winner of the brand new KOPW belt. So they changed it from a trophy into a belt. A few changes here. I don't think Shingo's going to be in this one.
No.
I think he says he's not interested in it. He says he's not doing KOPW anymore. I don't think he will be.
Give me the
there's
4.
plenty of people left off. Oh Christ!
Come on.
Okay. Evil.
Okay.
Taichi.
Okay.
Trying to think who else has been
Chase
left
Owens.
off the card. Chase Owens and Kenta.
That sounds good. That's not bad. I mean, it's Bullet Club heavy, but that's not bad. Like, I feel bad for, like, look, again, you can't shoehorn in a million people, and nothing's been announced, but like Kenta was literally 10 minutes away from my house, wrestling on a CZW show. I did not go. I could care less. Robbie Eagles. I mean, there are plenty of guys that have, put in their time during this pandemic, and I hate to see them rewarded with just a Rumble. What about Ishii? You think Ishii's in the mix?
Yeah, I forgot he's not on the card either. Yeah, let's throw Ishii in there instead of Kenta.
Okay. I mean, but here's the thing: like, these are names that we have said numerous times on this show that they're in a fucking Rumble. I mean, it is a little bit crazy, but yeah, there are a lot of names in that Rumble. Are you expecting any guests, any surprises in the Rumble?
Yeah, I mean, there's always a few, aren't there? They'd be wheeling out people like Cheeseburger and Kakihara. People like they've done in previous years. Maybe they get Scott Norton back. Who knows?
I'm going to go
Bob
with
Sapp. That'd be fun.
Okay, Bob Sapp. A little bit Bob. I'm going to say, and again, I'm literally pulling this out of my hiney hole. How about Sting?
That would be fun.
Yeah,
I'd be into that. Yeah. I think it's probably I don't know. He feels bigger than a pre-show New Japan Rambo. I forgot about Yano. Yano's not involved in anything else. He's got to be in that 4, hasn't he?
Joel, there's a ton of people that are like, I mean, Fale, Chase, who else? Finley, right? Is Finley on the show? No. There are a ton of people that are not on this show. Shibata is not on the show, surprisingly. But yes, I think they have a couple things.
Cobb?
Jeff Cobb. How about Jeff Jarrett? What?
Great O'Khan.
How about Aussie Open?
Man, there's so many people now. Start to think about it. It's quite obscene, the number of people that have been left off of this card.
I know. It is pretty amazing how many people are not they don't have a specific match.
Okay, man, we've got to reassess our final 4 then. Okay, I'm thinking all the people that have been left off. I'm going to say Ishii.
Go ahead.
Great O'Khan.
Okay.
Evil and
Taichi.
It's a coin flip between Taichi.
Kenta.
What about El Phantasmo?
Right.
Kenta.
What about
Yano? Oh, I've got to actually make a prediction here. So I'm going to go Ishii, Great O'Khan, Taichi, Evil. Right. I think that'll be really fun, actually. Really fun 4-way.
I'm down for that. It is amazing how many people are not in that mix. But yeah, it is a what's the saying? A plethora of riches. Is that the saying? Help me out. I got nothing.
An embarrassment of riches?
There you go. I like that. I like that better.
Okay, then the final opening match is the Antonio Inoki Memorial 6-man tag match, which is Yuji Nagata, Satoshi Kojima, and Togi Makabe against Tiger Mask, Minoru Suzuki, and Tatsumi Fujinami. Now, I do wonder if we may see one or more of these wrestlers retiring in 2023. I'm certainly looking at people like Togi Makabe. Does he need to do this anymore? Yuji Nagata, he might want to take a back seat and do more of his coaching and training stuff at the dojo. But in terms of picking a winner here, it's difficult. I mean, I'm looking and seeing who is most likely the pin eater here. Mm-hmm. Could be Tiger Mask. He's the only junior. Satoshi Kojima, he's still actively involved in high-level Noah stuff. So I would say he probably picks up the win here after lariating Tiger Mask.
It's not a bad pick. And they do like to make sure that the veterans are taken care of on big shows like this. And again, Tiger Mask is still that junior. So, yeah, that's not a bad pick.
So you don't think we're going to see Fujinami taking an exploder suplex?
I don't think. I'll tell you what. I'll set the over-under at I'll give him the benefit of the doubt at 70-something years old. And I will set the over-under at 4 bumps. 4 flat back bumps from Tatsumi Fujinami.
Okay, all right. Here you go. Who takes more bumps, Fujinami or Makabe?
Oh, that's great. That is a great prop. Whew. I bet Fujinami. Will take more, and I will lay odds on that. Anyway, if anybody wants to take those odds, send nudes and those odds too.
Oh dear. Okay, so moving on to the main card then. The first match is the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championship match with the champions Francesco Akira and TJP, Catch 2-2, taking on the winners of the Super Junior Tag League, Lio Rush and Yo. This one, I think it's going to be a great match. Cannot wait. Give these guys 15 minutes. They're going to tear the house down. Just a perfect way to open Wrestle Kingdom. Very excited by this one. The match they had in the Tag League was fantastic. This one could be even better. It's hard to pick a winner here because I love Catch 2-2 and I think there is a lot of value in them keeping the belts. But I just think with them going to all the effort of bringing in Lio Rush and having him win the tournament, I think there might be the temptation to put the belt on him. And that would be a pretty good move, I think. So I'm actually thinking that Chaos win this. I say Lio Rush and Yo will win the titles and give Lio Rush some shine, some showcase as a champion, leading into him entering Best of the Super Juniors later in 2023.
Yeah, I'm totally okay with a title change here, and that's not saying that I haven't enjoyed everything that we've seen in the past 6 months. The idea of a title change, though, it feels like does provide more opportunities for fresher matchups and maybe a little bit more unpredictability with those titles. I'll say it's a successful title defense, but trust me, I have no problem with the titles changing hands here, and no doubt this will be nonsense personified. This will be a car crash squared, and I think it's a perfect opening, high paced. Balls to the wall. We're doing crazy moves just to remind everyone it's Wrestle Kingdom time.
All right, our second match is the IWGP Women's Championship match with the first champion Kairi in her first defense against challenger Tam Nakano. I can't see any other outcome here other than Kairi successfully defending and then Mercedes Monado, Mercedes Moné, whatever she's calling herself, coming to challenge for a future event.
I hope so. I think that's what everyone here's the thing. If you're a Stardom person, you are super pumped for the idea of this match, right? From everything that we have been told, this is one of those matches that it's been in the making for a long time. And then to add this extra layer of anticipation to have, arguably the most popular female performer in the United States, showing up and challenging. I don't think that there's any negative or anything that I could sit here and say this is a bad idea. I think this is an incredible idea. I've said it a million times that the former Sasha Banks Twitter following are some of the most passionate and, they are into her. That being said, I hope that when I say they, I mean that pocket of pro wrestling fans, I hope they stick around for not only that angle, but for the rest of the show. And I'm curious as to their reactions to everything, because let's be honest here. I would say that demographic skews a bit younger, right? They're probably in their teens and 20s. I can't imagine it being much older than that. And if they were able to stick around for New Japan, and Stardom, I think it's a great thing. I think it's an unbelievable thing. Now, is it going to be worth what they're paying her? We'll see. We'll see if they stick around. That's obviously the hope. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be Twitter will be on fire, like if she shows up and challenges.
Yeah. I mean, the logic is sound, isn't it? That, yeah, they are going to be paying Fuganos to get the services if she is actually going to appear and wrestle for them. This is only rumours at this point. But the idea being that all the fans come over, they watch her, and then they see how good Stardom is and all the other excellent wrestlers they have on their roster and stick around to watch more of the product. And, the IWGP Women's title was created purely for stuff like this, for these big showcase events that you can run on big New Japan events and run abroad. So to get people dipping their toes in and thinking, wow, this is good shit, and then tuning in for more of the Stardom product. So the concept is sound. I can totally see the logic of it. And I think there's a real push this year, and for this event in particular, to try and not just win back some of the lapsed New Japan fans, but bring over some fresh fans. And, a lot of these fans who have followed Sasha Banks' WWE career, would they have seen wrestling of the caliber that Stardom put on regularly? I don't think so. The high-end Sasha Banks stuff was excellent. Don't get me wrong. I've watched pretty much all of her top-end matches, and I've loved them. I think she's a fantastic wrestler. But some of the Stardom stuff is next level. Getting the chance to see someone like Sasha working against the very best that Stardom have to offer, I think, is going to be way above anything that the Vince WWE cookie cutter match layouts will be able to deliver. So there's a very exciting opportunity there for Stardom and for women's wrestling in general. I think there's a lot to be excited about there.
Yeah, no doubt. And, once again, let's remove the handcuffs and let them be who they want to be and perform in the ring how they want to perform. And we've seen it from a male perspective countless times with New Japan, where, they take off the handcuffs and you're amazed by, what they can do. And I'm hoping that this is the case. And look, even if half the audience comes, even if a quarter of the audience comes, Stardom is going to feel that, in their bottom line. So I think it's a win. Hopefully it's, it equates what they're paying her, but I think it is. I think it's absolutely worth the investment. 1,000%.
The third match is the IWGP Tag Team Championship match with the champions FTR, Cash Wheeler and Dax Harwood in their third defense against the challenging team of Bishamon, the winners of the World Tag League, Yoshihashi and Hiroki Goto. This was quite hard to call because I do think there's money on the table left for a potential FTR Aussie Open rematch, but I think that will come later in the year. I could see that being safe for something like a Forbidden Door too. So I think Bishamon win this match, and then I think later on in the year Aussie Open beat Bishamon for the titles, and then we do get the Aussie Open FTR rematch, but with Aussie Open as the defending champions rather than challengers.
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat as you. I don't know if FTR, just having a slumping, I say this kayfabe-wise, a slumping end of the year, but it does make the most sense to have the titles here. I hate the fact that, they are out of sight, out of mind when, other teams, other, and I quote, non-New Japan teams win titles. We've seen that countless times. I'm losing my voice. Yeah, I think there's a title change here, and I think the match will be great, honestly. And yes, I think down the road we'll see a rematch that arguably will be in a lot of people's match of the year.
Okay, the fourth match is the NJPW World TV Championship Tournament Final with Ren Narita against Zack Sabre Jr. Now, I know the build-up to this has all been everyone on the Ren hype train, and rightly so, and I think this would be the perfect vehicle for him to launch himself into the upper echelons in New Japan by winning this inaugural title and being showcased like that. But, with the dissolution of Suzuki-gun and Zack picking up that pinfall at the end, couldn't really complain if they put it on Zach either. You know, Zach having these 15-minute showcase defenses that go up on free on YouTube and everything, and people all around the world can watch it. That would be really great as well. So it's really hard for me to pick a winner here, and I don't think there is a wrong answer. The match is going to be fantastic, I'm sure. I think it's going to bring out the best in both of them. You know, we've got the nice sort of synergy there, the echoes of the fact that Zach had that grappling match with Shibata. Was that last year? God, it feels like about 5 years ago.
Right.
But now wrestling his protege in the form of Narita. So, you know, there's a lot going into this one. And yeah, I don't think that there is a wrong answer in terms of who wins this one. But I'm leaning towards Ren Narita. I just think his style, the sort of smash mouth in your face, high pace, high intensity style that he was wrestling on Strong. You know, his whole Strong career was built around doing these sort of sub 15-minute violent matches. I think that's the direction they're going to go. So I'm picking Ren here.
Yeah. I mean, I would have no problem going either way. I mean, there's a lot of bonuses with if Zach wins, and having Ren chase or vice versa. I don't think there's any problem with that. Again, I kind of mentioned this when we were talking with Kevin, but it feels like a card that is significant in the sense that you should probably plant a flag and use it as a marker for your continuing fandom in New Japan, because this match, along with others, kind of speak to that. I love the fact that it's you know, we're not looking at, you know, the time limit is a help and not a hindrance. Prediction wise, Ren is probably the way I'm going to lean. I would have no problem with Zach winning. His first singles title in New Japan. But I'm going to go Ren. Yeah, because I think it's
crazy, isn't it?
It is crazy.
He's been with the company since 2017. That's not won a singles title yet. I mean, he's got 2 New Japan Cups, to be fair, which I think are sort of pretty up there when it comes to accolades. But, you know, we don't want to be thinking of him as the English Hiroki Goto.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody. Yeah, I mean, yes, I would agree with that. But again, I am under the firm belief that this is a show that is there to help make some stars, and I think that would be a great catalyst for Ren.
Yeah, I mean, if they're serious about this directive about pushing younger talent faster than they normally would, then yeah, this is where you're going to see it. All right, 5th match is the Never Openweight Championship match with the champion, Machine Gun Karl Anderson, in his third defense against the challenger and newly crowned Concurso winner, Tama Tonga. I mean, this has got to be a Tama Tonga win. If Karl Anderson wins, fuck me, like, whoa, what is this company smoking? And I want some. I mean, it looks like the piss break match. I'm hand waving it, to be honest, and I hope I'm wrong. I hope Karl Anderson makes me eat crow and that they go out and have an absolutely killer match. And I come on the podcast next week and say, look, I was wrong. I take it back. I apologize, Karl. You put your working boots on there and put on a tremendous match, but I'll believe it when I see it, Damon.
Yeah, whatever you do, just tweet out something using his name so he can vanity search it. Fucking
these wrestlers just hanging on to every single word.
Seriously,
out of my stupid mouth.
Look, and again, you will hear it later on as we discuss with the great Kevin Kelly about Karl Anderson, and not to let the cat out of the bag, but you know, Kevin was kind of shrugging his shoulders, thinking like, here's a guy that has a track record, and he
doesn't. He's not a track record. What's he done for us lately? When's the last time we had a good match? It's fucking 2012. That's when.
Yeah.
That's the problem with it. He's putting on boring matches. Went out there, shut the bed with Tanahashi, sweatwalked through the Hikuleo match. I like to see good wrestlers trying hard to put on entertaining matches for the fans. I like good wrestlers having good wrestling matches. Maybe he's a good wrestler. I don't know. I've not seen any evidence of it in the last decade, Damon.
Yeah.
But that's the complaint, that these matches stink.
Yeah. I mean, yes, that is 1,000%. And again, when we talk about people that are in a fucking rumble, that have worked through a pandemic and have, you know, been there for the company, here's Karl Anderson sleepwalking his way through a 10-minute match, you know, for you know, what was once, you know, a decent title. It's garbage now. Trust me, I don't get it. I understand the idea of Bullet Club founders and, they were their OGs and all of that. Karl Anderson does nothing for me. Now, if he shocks the world and he and Tama Tonga have, I don't even want great. I just want solid, good, something that's like, that didn't waste my time watching. I'd be pleased with that. And that all depends on, to me, depends on Karl. I hope that they have enough friendship and enough chemistry and enough all that to make that happen. But it does.
Yeah, that's the one saving grace. The fact that Karl hopefully has enough respect for Tama Tonga not to phone this one in.
Okay, but with that said, can you say the same thing about fucking Hiroshi Tanahashi?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I'll take it back.
Right? It just leaves you scratching your head. And again, maybe this is all part of the master plan, and I hate the idea of people telling us, "Oh, well, he's the smartest pro wrestler there is, man. He's going there getting money and then take fuck all." Stop that. That's preposterous to have that as a take, but it's out there. Look, the best I can hope for is a solid, good match. That's all I'm hoping for. If there's anything more than that, that's icing on the cake. That'd be great. I'm not holding my breath.
All right, sixth match is the Keiji Muto alleged last match in New Japan. So we've got Shota Umino, Hiroshi Tanahashi, and Keiji Muto against Bushi, Sanada, and Tetsuya Naito. So this, allegedly Keiji Muto's last match. I would not be shocked if they find some other way to drag it out and make the Yokohama event about him with some sort of singles match. But the real intrigue here for me is the interactions between Shota Umino and Tetsuya Naito, because they were laying that on really thick during the Road 2 shows, with Shota desperate to get the attention of Naito, and Naito's just looking past him as if Shota was invisible, and Shota get more and more angry that Naito would to acknowledge him and take him seriously. So to me, that's the program coming out of this. Bushi's there to eat the pin, let's be fair. So the only question mark is he there for the vanity pin for Keiji Muto, or is he there for the pin for Shota Umino, who is then staring daggers at Naito and setting up a hot, sexy Shota Umino versus Tetsuya Naito program early in 2023. To me, that's the direction to go in here.
Yeah. Look, we can't just hand wave the significance of this match on multiple levels, right? So we have a fresh-faced, and I don't even want to say young lion, but someone who is a step above, ready to capture the torch. Hiroshi Tanahashi, who is not in a singles match at Wrestle Kingdom, and an absolute legend that is retiring, and then on the other side you got Lois and Homer Anomalous, who mean a lot.
Wrestling Observer News Hall of Famer.
Yes, that is correct. So I don't want to downplay the significance of this match, because it is dare I say, a massive match on all those levels. Yes, I think Bushi's taking the fall. Yes, I wouldn't be surprised if it's Shining Wizard time and 1, 2, 3 away we go. We leave on a happy foot. But again, I just think it's amazing how, as long as we've been doing this podcast, the idea of Hiroshi Tanahashi, Wrestle Kingdom, not in a singles match, I think, to me, that is the loudest factor in this match. To me, that is the loudest. Yes, the idea of passing a torch. Yes, the idea of a legend retiring. But him not in a singles match at Wrestle Kingdom is and again, high profile, big spotlight match, obviously, it is a little bit weird that that's where he's placed.
Okay, here's another question for you. So you may remember earlier in the year when Keiji Muto, quote unquote, put over Kaito Kiyomiya, and Kiyomiya had to literally run down the ramp and chase Keiji Muto to get him to, acknowledge him, bow to him, to get the seal of approval, the pat on the back. Do you think we get that here between Keiji Muto and Shota Umino? Will we get Keiji Muto raising Shota Umino's arm and saying, this kid is the future, in a way that he did not do for Kaito Kiyomiya?
I'll tell you what, you have a better chance of Hiroshi Tanahashi doing that. And for modern pro wrestling fans, I think that's more significant. I really do.
I mean, that would be a great visual, like all three of them. So Shota Umino in the middle, right arm being raised by Tanahashi, left arm by Keiji Muto. What a great visual signifier of saying this kid is the future.
Yeah. I think, again, when we talk about plant a flag, this is one of the reasons why. I mean, I think when people look back on the show and see that match and where we go in 23 and 24, I think this is going to be one of those, moments that kind of solidify that path.
That's it. I mean, I want fans to be coming away from this show talking about Oleg Boltin and Ren Narita and Shota Umino. That's what New Japan should be trying to achieve, and I'm sure that's what they'll be going for. Actually, let's talk about Naito a bit. So Andy says, any predictions for Naito in the year to come? Eric says, in the last episode, you acknowledged that Tanner being in a multi-man was an indicator of how things are moving forward, but you didn't overtly say the same for Naito, although maybe that's just my wishful thinking. Is his time at the top over, or is there another hurrah? So there was a great tweet from our friend Chris Sampson, who said, Tetsuya Naito finished 2022 with the most matches in New Japan with 133 and the most overall total match length with 31 hours, 11 minutes and 30 seconds. Now, I couldn't put Tetsuya Naito on our year-end award ballot for unsung because he's in the Wrestler of the Year ballot because he's been so fantastic doing these top-tier programs with Okada at the start of the year and with Ospreay at the end of the year. That, we talk about him as, a guy potentially being down cycle, but they are leaning on him so heavily to be providing not only in-ring quality, but also as a draw, I think. But he's sort of done it in a very sort of quiet, low-key way where he's been there to put over Okada and Ospreay in incredible matches when it matters, whilst taking none of the glory himself. So he's very quietly, turned into the workhorse of New Japan Pro Wrestling, which is incredible, really, considering the reputation he has among the more ignorant circles of the Western fan, of being, hanging on by a thread, injury-wise, and being lazy. I mean, this just is demonstrably false, isn't it? What does... Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I mean, I think the injuries are something to be taken into consideration with all of those numbers. I mean, I think everybody knows the troubles that he has had in recent years. Yet still, he is that Iron Man, that workhorse. I can't necessarily say that every single match has been great, but when the spotlight has been brightest, he's absolutely been he's been there to capture a moment. I don't know. I don't think this is like going into 2023. I don't think we're hand waving Naito at this point, but I'd be curious to see what his involvement in helping these younger talents gain more spotlight is. Now, whether that's a feud, which, again, we've been kind of a little bit teased to, or what that looks like, I don't know. But again, him and I think Tanahashi, and even to a certain degree, Okada, these are people that, and Okada's relatively young. I'm curious as to see their position in helping the younger guys get over. And I think Naito is going to be a big, big factor in that.
Yeah, I mean, again, we just talked about Shota Umino. That is, to me, that's Tetsuya Naito's job for the first half of 2023. Yeah. Get Shota Umino over as a star. You know, I mean, he's had the Ospreay program. I think the Ospreay program is his sort of overarching Kikuchi feud. You know, the one where he loses and loses and loses, and then finally wins the big one. You know, we could see some sort of scenario where, as Ospreay finally overcomes Okada as his final boss and wins the IWGP World title, maybe at next year's Wrestle Kingdom for the sake of argument, then in the future it is Umino who's dethroning Ospreay, and Ospreay being Umino's final boss. But certainly to get him on that road, to get him cooking in 2023, I think that's the role being given to Naito, to work with Umino, make him look like a star. And he's absolutely going to deliver in spades, I'm sure, because Naito always does. One of the most unselfish workers in the whole company.
Hall of Famer.
That's why he's a Hall of Famer, yeah. Snap. All right, now we have the 7th match is the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship match. 4-way with the champion, Taiji Ishimori, in his second defense. His second defense of this title. Unbelievable. Against Master Wato, El Desperado, Hiromu Takahashi. Now, I think this is one that a lot of Western fans are sleeping on. And I think this is going to be crazy. Like, these 4 guys, so creative. There's going to be some absolutely insane spots in here. I think there's going to be a lot of humor in here. You know, I'm not saying it's going to be a comedy match, but just the way that they delivered in that incredible tag match at the back end of last year, that sold this match for me. Before I was hand waving it. After watching that tag, I was like, no, all 4 of these guys are great. The chemistry between them, the stories between them, their individual relationships between them, I think is going to deliver in spades here. And the fact that this has been positioned as, you know, if we are saying that the 2 matches above this are double main events, then this is technically your semi-main event. So they're going to get plenty of time here. I think it's a great spot on the card. It's very high, a great opportunity to showcase these guys. And, you know, I've said before that this is a show all about elevating the young talent like Boltin and Narita and Shota Umino. One name that you can add to that list, Master Wato. And I think if you take Wato out of this match and replace him with, I don't know, just for sake of argument, someone like Robbie Eagles, with all the love in the world for Robbie, it will be fantastic with Robbie in there. I think you would lose something narratively. I think Wato is the one that made that incredible tag match work, because he was like the butt of everyone's aggression and jokes. You know, everyone was just treating him like shit and punking him out, and then he finally snapped at the end and just started laying into everyone, including his own tag partner. And to me, that's when I started really thinking about Wato and the year that he's had. Janice said, what do you think of Wato's 2022? I think he really turned a corner for me, and I know I might be on an island with that, but I think after watching that incredible tag match and seeing his output, I thought, no, this is a guy who's grown into this role. He's much more confident, and I think this match could be the Wato coming out party, where the whole match is built around making him a star. You know, he gets beaten down and abused and humiliated by the 3 guys who are not taking him seriously. But then we have this little self-contained narrative within the match where by the end, every single one of you are rooting and cheering for Wato because they've done such a good job getting him over that you are on the edge of your seat, willing him to win this junior heavyweight title. So that's what I think we're going for. I think we're going to come away from this match thinking Master Wato, our next star of the junior division.
I will let it be known, and I will show my cards. When it came to my least favorite wrestler within our Super J Cast year-end awards, which you can vote right now. Wato, Master Wato, is high on my ballot. He doesn't do a fucking thing for me. Now, that being said, we have a 4-way where, once again, we can kind of hide his weaknesses and expose his strengths, which is Pro Wrestling 101. I think that those 3 guys are some of the most talented pro wrestlers on planet Earth. And if they have any job in this, I would say it would be to make Wato a star. And those 3 gentlemen can do that. I am very apprehensive of a 2023 with Master Wato leading the charge. But if anyone can help a lot of fans turn the corner on Master Wato, it's those 3. He has to look strong. He has to look I say it, sandpaperish. He needs to continue that. And he needs to not only be able to sell for everybody, and I think that's important, but he does need to feel, I don't know if dominant is the word, but like he needs to look like a person who it is justified that he is in the ring with those other three. That being said, I still don't think Master Wato is the future. And I would not be surprised if Despy or Hiromu, more likely, walks away with that title. Or even, not for nothing, Taiji Ishimori keeping the title. And again, I've been kind of, I don't know, jonesing for it is the word, but I don't know. I feel like Kushida has a little bit of revenge that still needs to be settled. So I would not be surprised if we see that in the relative near future.
All right, who's your pick then?
I'm going to say Ishimori successfully defends.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see, just being absolute carnage between the other three, and then Ishimori just sort of sneaks in at the end with the crafty pinfall after all the other guys have killed each other, and then, you have the Wato coronation later in a singles match. I'm really clinging on to this Wato thing. I just really want it to happen, but yeah, all right, there you go. There's the junior title. The 8th match, the IWGP US Heavyweight Championship double main event. The champion, Will Ospreay, his 5th defense against the challenger, Kenny Omega. There was a tremendous interview on the website with Kenny Omega where he compared New Japan to a naughty pet pooping on the floor. It was a really great interview, and I think a lot of his real sort of resentment towards New Japan and everything that happened with, was it Wrestle Kingdom 13, where he just felt underappreciated and he felt the fans were really against him. They wanted Tanahashi to win, and that was real. I felt that in the building. I was there with WH Park. We were both cheering for Tanahashi, and we were happy that he won. And I think, Kenny still has a chip on his shoulder about the way he left New Japan, and rightly so. That's what we want to see from these simulated prize fighters. Now, Will Ospreay, despite the fact that I'm constantly reminding people what a cunt he is. No, I'm joking. I'm not doing that at all. He's brilliant. We love Ospreay. These are two of the top 5 wrestlers on the planet for me, anyway. Ospreay probably number 1. We'll look at those awards. I haven't made my picks yet, but I think it's almost certainly going to be Will Ospreay. Kenny Omega, we've not seen him in high-level singles match for a while because he's been recovering from an injury, but he is absolutely up there as well. We know what he's capable of. We know he's one of the best wrestlers in the planet as well. So there's no ceiling on this match, Damon. Now, I'm not saying that I think it's going to be one of the greatest wrestling matches in history, but it might be. Would it shock you if we came out of this event and people are talking about it with that kind of critical acclaim? Not for me. The sky is the limit here.
That's scary, isn't it? Like the idea of what it could possibly look like. That puts a lot of pressure on those two gentlemen to just do the unimaginable. But if there's any two human beings on planet Earth that are physically capable of producing a match that is out of this world, it's them. We are looking at a match that is, for the first time in a long time, it feels like there is legitimate buzz and excitement and, dare I say, interest in New Japan Pro Wrestling. And look,
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I just had a little moment yesterday where I had the music on my iPhone on shuffle, and the Will Ospreay Tokyo Dome entrance theme came on, and then I started to imagine that, and the pageantry of the Ospreay entrance and the Omega entrance and the music and the costumes and the visuals, and I started getting chills down my spine just thinking about it. I'm getting them now.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. I don't think anyone will be disappointed. I think it's going to live up to the hype that we are giving it. And on paper, it's hard for me to come up with a match that can be that exciting here as we approach January 4th. It's got the makings of the drama, the in-ring, the excitement, the idea of sitting on the edge of your seat. I think there's going to be a lot of people that will be very pleased with the outcome. Now, what that outcome looks like, I don't know. But we can safely assume that an AEW partnership, Forbidden Door, whatever the fuck you want to call it, is still strong and healthy. I would not be surprised. And I almost kind of want a Kenny Omega win just to let's stretch this out. Let's find a way to keep Kenny Omega engaged. Now, does that mean that we will see Kenny Omega with other New Japan Pro wrestlers in the same ring? Hopefully, yes. Does that mean that there is a little bit more sturdy bridge with maybe Kota Ibushi? I think people can speculate about that as well.
Someone pointed out that the Wrestle Kingdom Yokohama colours are the Ibushi colours.
No. Look, it's fun to speculate. It's fun to fantasy book. It's fun to think, where are we going from here? All I know is this. This match will be tremendous. And the idea of having Kenny Omega in some capacity back in the mix, I'm going to be honest with you, love it. I'm all in for it.
Yeah, so glad to have him back. And I know we sort of teased him and poked fun at him for his sort of more egotistical tendencies, but that's part of his character, dare I say, part of his gimmick. But in terms of Kenny Omega, the wrestler, there are very few better than him on the planet. And I think, there's a lot of parallels here with Wrestle Kingdom 12, where Chris Jericho came in and helped establish Kenny Omega as an even bigger star than he already was. So I think Omega is going to do for Ospreay what Jericho did for him back then. So I do think Ospreay's going to win, but I do think we will see a rematch. Basically, whoever wins this one, I think there's going to be a rematch, then the other guy will win in the States later on in the year, because I think there's a lot of money to be made from this program, especially when we see what kind of buzz this match, if we're walking away from this and Dave Meltzer's saying this is 8 stars, the best match he's ever seen, then think of the buzz that would create and the, potential money to be made for a rematch in the States. We're adding stuff to that, like, Kairi versus Mercedes Varnado. It's very exciting times for New Japan to try to claw back some of their market share that they've lost over the last few years. And I think this is where it starts. This is the main event for the Western fans, I think.
No doubt. And it's an exciting time. Like, it feels like, a lot of times we would joke a little bit tongue in cheek about, are we back? We're back. No, are we back? Oh, we're back. This feels like we're back. It does feel like we're back.
Now, the 9th match, the main event IWGP World Heavyweight Championship match, is the champion, Jay White, in his 3rd defense against the winner of the Grade 1 Climax, Kazuchika Okada. So Louis says, what last-minute thing can New Japan do to bring some heat to this main event championship title match between Jay and Okada? I'll tell you what it's not. It is lazy tweet speaks out from Jay White. Okay, I'm going to keep that dry. Elliot says, which outcome is less exciting, Jay retaining or Okada winning? David Bentley Fart says, is a Jay White loss indicative of him leaving the company? Daryl says, what is the deal with Switchblade? I'm seeing more hype, press, promotion coming from Kenny than from our IWGP Heavyweight Champion. Is there more to the story here? Is he a lame duck, or does he just not give a crap? If Jay doesn't care enough, how can the fans be expected to? And yeah, all those questions highlight the problem with this, that it feels like Jay doesn't care. And if Jay doesn't care, I don't care. That rubs off on the fans. And we've talked about it at length, so I'm not going to rehash the same talking points, but it still feels very, very cold as a main event. Maybe this is something where there's a disconnect. Maybe the Japanese fans are tremendously excited about this and, looking forward to Okada beating the bad guy and going, Ishii-san die at the end of it and having those feel-good moments thinking about Antonio Inoki and his passing earlier in the year. So I think that's what this is. I think this is just Jay White set up as the generic baddie for Okada to defeat. And again, I would love to be wrong about that. I would love for there to be a shocking Jay White win that makes sense, and some exciting angle where we think, oh, of course we were such idiots, we couldn't see it coming. It was staring us in the face. Jay's worked us all. He really is a genius of pro wrestling. But I'm not seeing evidence of that yet. I hope I'm wrong, but I can't see it. I think this is just an Okada win. And Jay White, he's booked, he's all over the promotional stuff for this Battle in the Valley thing. So I don't think it's going to be like, okay, Wrestle Kingdom's over, he's off to WWE. I don't know what the contractual status is. He does look and sound and behave like a man who's got one foot out the door, but whether or not that's the case, I don't know. I'm just scratching my head because this is a guy who we talked about at length, coming off the end of Wrestle Kingdom 15, felt like the hottest wrestler on the planet, and now ice cold.
Yeah. And again, I think I said something along these lines on the last show. It's a combination of him and the company. Like the company, if they said be here for these dates, I don't see why he would not be there. I'm sure it's not him hand waving the opportunity to help build in this, but yeah, it does feel incredibly lacking, whether it's the fact that Okada, wins G1 and then hides the briefcase under his bed. I don't know. All I know is this, is that for what is supposed to be the main event, I feel like there is less buzz for this match than a lot of the stuff that's going to be on the upper end of the card. Now, when the bell rings and the entrances happen and everyone's raring to go, I think a lot of those opinions will change. But by no means is anyone going out of their way to be like, oh, it's Jay White, Okada, IWGP Heavyweight Championship, Wrestle Kingdom. I don't see that. I see, people tuning in for all the other things that we talked about, and this hopefully being a great match that wins over a ton of people.
I think they're going to have to work pretty fucking hard to exceed whatever Ospreay and Omega managed to put out.
Oh, I think it's near impossible. Here's the thing. I think they have to go in a bit of a, not even a bit, a different direction. Because I think what Kenny and Will are willing to put out there is going to be, it's going to be tough to follow. It's going to be very tough to follow. Now, again, Okada, arguably one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. Jay White, he can go, and I think they can add plenty of drama.
That's like out of sheer professional pride, the two of them. You think that they will be looking at Ospreay and Omega thinking, fuck, come on, we've got to do our absolute best here and try and make this main event better than that. You think that, that's what the motivation is.
Yeah. And trust me, I'm sure that is. That being said, it's going to be a tough match to follow. I think everyone can agree with that. And I would go so far as to say, I feel like New Japan has something up their sleeves, something to help continue positive movement. Let's put it that way. So I think the match itself will be very good, but I also think, and again, I don't know, but I feel that, that's the path.
All right, well, that is Wrestle Kingdom 17 coming at you at the Tokyo Dome Wednesday, January 4th, right around the corner. Gosh, it's really snuck up on us here. So Multiverse A says, it feels like we have genuine hype going into Wrestle Kingdom. Coming out of Wrestle Kingdom, what do you think will be the big story for 2023? And also, Joel, how did you celebrate Taichi's first 5-star match as rated by Uncle Dave? I went out drinking, I did some karaoke, and I raised a glass of whiskey to our Suzuki-gun boys. So that's what I did. But yeah, what do you think is going to be the big story for next year? I said, I mean, this is a bit broad, but I think the youth movement is going to be the big one coming out of that, if that counts. But in terms of sort of specifics, I think there's going to be a new faction in town. If I put gun to my head, I think it's going to be led by Shigo Takagi, and I think that's what the buzz is going to be about at the start of the year.
I think 23 will be about increased partnerships and maybe some more dream matches that we didn't think were possible maybe 3 or 4 months ago.
What if it's Ibushi-gun?
Ooh.
What if he's the leader? What if he does a big heel turn and has come out shooting on New Japan management?
Look, as long as he gets paid for the T-shirts, that's all.
Well, he doesn't need the money. He's a very rich guy. He said that he's not doing anything for money. Kevin says, who are you most disappointed doesn't have a match on the show? I mean, it's extended to something we talked about earlier, but Shibata, especially after what happened last year and seeing that match with Ren, I think we all hoped that there will be something built on that, and the fact that there's nothing is a wet fart.
Yep, it's somewhat ludicrous. Yeah, that's got to be up there, no doubt. Yeah, so I'll jump on your bandwagon on that one.
Enigma Bird says, any big, wild, out there predictions for 2023? You got anything crazy? Any very spicy take statement?
I mean, there is a lot of scuttlebutt about the idea of Japanese promotions having a bit of an impact on New Japan Pro Wrestling. So let's go with that. Let's say not only will there be additional Noah interaction, but maybe even some All Japan interaction.
I will say we will get a Kenny Omega Kota Ibushi singles match in 2023. Ooh. There's my crazy prediction. Rob says, Wrestle Kingdom in Yokohama Arena. Is this over-reliance on the Wrestle Kingdom brand? And what do you expect from this event? Now, my feeling going into it was that I thought that was going to be the big showcase Keiji Muto last New Japan match. I mean, it still could be Keiji Muto related. They could say it's a co-promoted event if it is Noah, but I kind of feel they would have announced that by now. So I have no idea now about this Yokohama show.
Yeah, it does feel like an odd placement.
I think we'll know by the end of the show, by the end of Wrestle
yes.
Kingdom, and maybe by the end of Dash, we will have a pretty good idea. So I think that there is some big angle or big story that they're keeping hidden, that when they pull the trigger on that, we're going to go, oh, okay, that's Yokohama.
That's what I'm kind of I'm on that same page. I feel like Wrestle Kingdom is where it's traditionally the end of storylines. It might be very similar to what we saw with Naito and Kenta, kind of being a launch pad for their feud. I think we'll see something along those lines. I could be dead wrong, but I think we'll.
All right, well, please stick around for our fantastic interview with great Kevin Kelly, which will be coming up right after I do the plugs. So let me find them. There's so much in this, this text document I got here with these questions that I never answer. Man, where is it? Okay, yeah, redcircle.com/shows/super-j-cast if you want to throw some money our way. Always appreciate it, especially at this time of year. I bloody love money, so does Damon. So let's keep that rolling in, please. Discord link if you want to join. You can send me a direct message on Twitter. So if you've got no one to watch Wrestle Kingdom with, doing a live watch along in our live watching channel is always good fun. There's always good banter in there. So send me a DM on Twitter if you want to get involved in that. At Cobra Kawaii and ProWrestlingTees.com/superjcast if you want to buy one of our t-shirts. Massive thanks, as always, to Editor Dan, who you can find on Twitter at LousyHero219. Subscribe to the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network for other great shows. Give us a 5-snake review on iTunes. Follow us on Twitter at SuperJcast. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and enjoy our interview with Kevin Kelly. It's the most wonderful time of the year. That's right. It's time for our festive chat with the English voice of New Japan Pro Wrestling, the great Kevin Kelly. Thank you very much for joining us, sir. Merry Christmas. How are you?
Merry Christmas, boys. Yes, festive. That's what it is. It's wonderful. Everything is good. Holidays were great. Going back to Thanksgiving and then Christmas. It was nice being home and being able to work from home. But ready to get back at it and get on the plane here very soon.
When do you fly out, Kevin? Yeah,
I leave on the 1st.
Okay.
So arrive midday 2nd. Then Chris and I are doing a meet and greet thing at Abrietas on the 3rd with the fans who came over for the tour package. And then so that'll be fun. That's not being televised, so that'll just go as long as it goes. And then chill out at the hotel. Next day, bing, bang, boom, walk next door.
Beautiful.
Get ready, Ohio. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, is coming to the Buckeye State. And to kick things off, you can get started with $100 in free bets as an early sign-up bonus. Just download FanDuel's top-rated sportsbook app. Make every moment more with FanDuel. 21 plus and present in Ohio. Bonus issued and non-withdrawable free bets that expire 30 days after FanDuel accepts its first real money sports wager in Ohio. Go live date. Unique user identity verification required. Offer ends on the go live date. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
So just pulling back the curtain a bit, we were just talking off the air about how it's been a strange few years to be a New Japan fan. Some of it has been great. Some of it has sucked. You know, we have to be honest about this. But now we've got things like travel, crowd restrictions moving in the right direction. How do you look back on the last couple of years? And do you feel we've reached the light at the end of the tunnel?
I think so, Joel. I don't want to jump too far ahead. I've gotten my hopes up that all of this will be over. And if you would have said, hey, Kevin, like we talked about, I think last year, all right, it's going to go a few more months and then that'll be it. It'll be back to normal. And now here we are at, the start of 2023. And it's crowd restrictions here, but not here. It's been, at first, we were all thrilled to have wrestling back, right? And it give back some sense of normalcy in amongst the pandemic. It felt good to have it back and we were all on board. And now it's, Jesus, I can't take these silent crowds anymore because we've gotten a little taste of sound and now we want everything back. Mm-hmm. And I think it's made some lesser cards and some less than stellar moments even worse because there's been no crowd interaction. House of Torture to me is a channel changer, right? And their stuff with no crowd noise is rotten. Their stuff with crowd noise is better.
Yes.
Still not great, but it's better. It's more tolerable. But I think the absence of crowd noise has been the biggest detriment to people getting into the product, staying into the product. It's like watching a New Japan show on mute. It sucks. And we've done our best to try to give hope to that on the broadcast side, like just saying, hey, it's, things are improving. We've got the clap crowds coming, going away soon and the cheering will be back. But, it needs, for my taste, needs to move at a faster pace, but I'm not Japanese government and New Japan management.
Can you sense a sense of frustration on that though, Kevin? Can you sense that in the locker room and with the guys that are breaking their ass to entertain us? Can you feel that?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
You see Jay White screaming at the crowd. You hear Phantasmo as he's walking to the ring. It's not a great creative environment for the wrestlers. I've not really heard it too much from the Japanese wrestlers. They, kind of go with the flow. But the foreign wrestlers, and we're together a lot of the times, they hate it and it sucks. And I hate it and it sucks. And we want it to go away. We voiced it to management. They're working within the constructs of the government. Obari has been a rock star, though. Okay. He has really done, from everybody's point of view, he's done not just everything he can, but he's gone extra far to try to get this. It is battling kind of a hypocrisy of, and when he went to the meeting with the government officials and they were like, well, how can you define cheering? Maybe we should have a separate meeting about what cheering is.
Oh.
And my head would have exploded and I would have said, that's it, I'm done. Right. But Obari, very cool, calm, collected, dealt with it and provided them with the information that they needed, but then kept asking for the yes. It's not just enough to go, here's the information, please decide when you decide. He was explaining the why. It's very important for fans to have this sense of normalcy back in their lives. And we can provide this to them. We can help you guys with your message. And, that, hey, if we all do this together, but we get to make noise here and blow off some steam, everything will be fine on the other side. Because all the studies that they showed said there hasn't been one case of COVID that's been transmitted via New Japan Pro Wrestling attendance.
Right. Right. And even baseball,
Yeah.
I mean, they've had a full season where they've had cheering. They've had other events where they've had cheering. It does seem a bit odd that there are these handcuffs that are on New Japan fans.
They didn't have cheering last year.
Mm.
It was no cheering, and it is dreadful.
Right.
It is. I love Japanese baseball, but I realized what I love about Japanese baseball is the crowd.
Mm.
That's the X factor in all of this, between the fan club bands playing in the outfields and the chants for the players, and everybody's got a song. It's drier than toast on, with no noise. Went to a handful of games last year. Huh?
Imagine the World Cup, watching the FIFA World Cup with no cheering.
It would be boring. So, so that's what Japan is dealing with. And I think a lot of the, folks over there are, because you heard it when they first brought cheering back to Korakuen, it was like they had never seen wrestling before. And they were so excited to be able to use their voices. They used them more than they ever had before. Then we've seen that, and we've seen enthusiasm. That's what we want. We don't want just people making noise for the sake of making noise. We want enthusiasm because they're happy to be able to do it. And, they're jealous. I know the Japanese fans have definite FOMO from watching, the strong events and the, Resurgence, etc., Forbidden Door. They want that, and they don't understand why they can't have it, but they're all willing to play by the rules. Whereas America would be like, screw this. I'm going to cheer. What are they going to do? Throw me out?
I mean, that's one of the things that I was I'm sorry, Joel, I'm stepping all over you. But that's kind of one of the things that I was curious about, in the sense that I know we have sections where we can cheer and where we can't. I mean, do you just see, like, a great match, people are going to cheer, right? I mean, but do you think they're just so hardcore with rules that they won't?
They follow the rules, man. Yeah. And, imagine, let's go to Philly and let's tell the 2,300 arena faithful, hey, you folks over here, you can cheer, scream your lungs out. You guys over here, shut up and don't think about talking. They'd be stabbing me. Forget it.
Right.
Well, we're all looking forward to it. Now, it seems like the restrictions that are still in place are so arbitrary that they're not really going to apply to wrestling. So I think we've all got our fingers crossed for a relatively normal sounding Wrestle Kingdom in the Tokyo Dome. So putting aside
which is never a great acoustic event. Let's be fair, because of the dome. And, with the way sound escapes up to the roof, even when it's super loud, it doesn't sound super loud. So, but yes, fans will be able to use their voices.
So, setting aside our frustrations with all the pandemic restrictions that have come with it, what have you enjoyed the most from New Japan in 2022? So that could be in terms of memorable moments or any wrestlers who stood out, your favourite matches. So feel free to be as broad or specific as you like.
I said on the last few shows of the year that, for me, my favorite match of the year was the 30 count match for the KOPW with Shingo and Taichi, because I had never seen it before and it was thrilling. And that's what I want. That's what I want in my wrestling. I want unpredictability, and I want excitement and energy that just comes at the plus of a sports fan. So I freaking loved it. I'm scoreboard watching. I'm counting along with Red Shoes. It was the most creative, most interesting match I've called in a long, long time. Obviously, being able to call FTR, for me as a tag team aficionado and purist to a certain extent, not a snob, but I know how it's supposed to be done. Being able to call that match just the way that they do their style of tag team wrestling was remarkable. And having the enjoyment, of being able to see the foreigners, especially the juniors, those that came over for the first time, and kind of living through their eyes, and just like Alex Zane, the way he had such a blast, and the guys in the G1 who made their way over for the first time. How about moment of the year for me was Okada and Jonah in Osaka with the torpedo off the top rope, and the shock silence and the whoa from the crowd as the 1, 2, 3 happened. It's been a year filled with great moments, and I think now one of the most important things is that they've got some newer, fresher faces back from Excursion, and I think that Ren Narita's words where he said, it's going to be the changing of the guard. I don't think that was just some empty cliche. I think that's actually what we're going to see over the next few years.
Yeah, I think this Wrestle Kingdom kind of speaks to that a little bit. Look, again, we love this product. We've done this in versions of this podcast for many years.
7.
So being a fan of product, that kind of does mean we have to be a little bit critical
of course,
of things. What do you think New Japan, or where do you think New Japan has kind of fallen short this year? Aside from clap crowds and pandemics, but where do you think that they missed the mark?
Well, it was not a year that was plagued by injuries. 21 was an injury-filled year and a COVID year, and so I put an asterisk by that and by 20. This year, I felt there was a sense of complacency with some members of the roster.
Okay.
Not the main eventers, so to speak, but there was a lot of sameness in matches, and there was a noticeable increase in creativity and different styles of matches when we saw the foreigners come over. Now, I don't necessarily mean better. Again, wrestling is a flavor of ice cream. But if you keep giving me vanilla day after day, I'm going to get sick of vanilla. And I love vanilla.
Right.
So change it up. Change the flavors a little bit. And I may not like strawberry, but at least I appreciate that it's different. And I think that's where it's a little bit like CMLL. CMLL, to me, and I'm looking at it from an outsider, 30,000-foot view, it's kind of like a tourist attraction. People go to Arena Mexico, the wrestlers go out there and play the hits, and everybody has a good time because they got to see wrestling in Arena Mexico. But there isn't like a bunch of moving pieces and different stuff. It's kind of on, a little bit on, repeat. So I think one of the things that we need to get back to is the unpredictability of wrestling, period. And that the reliance on just playing the hits isn't necessarily enough.
Right.
Especially when we're in Corkin all the time or in these venues on a frequent basis. If Kiss comes around more than once a year, it's not special.
No.
Okay. So if we're in a building that we're in the building all the time, you don't have to play the hits. Sometimes you do something different. And I just feel like there's a little bit of that, this is what we're doing. We're putting our wrestling costume on. We're going out there and wrestling for a little while because this is our job. And I want to feel like I'm getting back to competition over something that matters. I get it occasionally, but I don't get it enough for my taste.
Now, do you think that's more the people that are in the ring, or do you think that's more management? Okay.
No, I think it's the people in the ring.
Yeah. Some of these surprises and some of this freshness that you talked about, that does kind of tread on strong territory. Guys like Bad Dude Tito and Alex Zane, Kevin Knight. Who surprised you and who has impressed you the most that you maybe wouldn't have expected 12 months ago?
Well, you mentioned Kevin Knight, and having just seen him in the Super Junior Tag League, I can tell you from seeing him, 2 years ago on Strong to now, I don't know if I've ever seen a wrestler improve as much refinement of skills. He was the proverbial puppy with big paws. He was a wild horse. You never knew where he was going, where he was going to land, if he was going to land. You didn't know. And I was like, this guy, if he can slow down and figure things out, he's going to be awesome. And if not, he's either going to hurt himself or hurt somebody else or both. But boy, oh boy, what a just you can really see it, and the comfort level that he has. Gabe Kidd brought different in World Tag League, especially that last night with Suzuki. Brother, I don't know what he was thinking. I don't know what the plan was, but it was different.
Right.
And throwing stuff at the wall and hoping it sticks is nothing. There's nothing wrong with that when you're a young guy. If you want some of the veterans, of course, who have their spots already set in stone, they need to, I think, adopt a little bit of that. Don't be afraid to take a chance on something because it might work and you're not going to get hurt. But, man, the young guys tore it up. Bad Dude Tito, where do these diamonds in the rough come from that Rocky's found? From Kratos and Bad Dude Tito. I mean, these guys aren't even – before Strong, Kratos wasn't on the wrestling radar. I'd never heard of him.
Kevin, he was a joke to us. He was literally a punchline, and then he blossomed, you know?
And I think he's going to have a big year in 23. And Bad Dude Tito, who got over instantly in Japan. How about Tom Lawler too? I mean, The way those guys got over during Tag League, or rather during the G1, was amazing. And I think the fans appreciated they were finally seeing somebody different. They wanted freshness. It's been the same roster, same lineup for 2 years.
Amazing.
And it's time to change it up, man. And plus it's an 8. Listen, we're sports guys. We know you got an aging roster, and you've got a bunch of, kids down on the farm system that are ready to play. You got to give them the ball.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry if that means that the veteran who's delivered for year after year after year and is a Hall of Famer, his playing time is going to be diminished. But such is the case. We got to keep the seats full in the ballpark, and we still think we've got enough for a winning lineup, no matter what. So put these young kids out there, let them go to town, let them get over, and see what happens. But yeah, I think there's changes. It's not going to be overnight. It's not going to be, come in and sweep everybody out the door. It's going to be gradual. And as those new faces are in, all of a sudden, when we get together next year, wow, this is, the roster's a lot different than it was constructed at the, at the beginning of 23 as opposed to the end.
Is that a scary time for a pro wrestling promotion? Like knowing that, okay, we need to create these new stars and we need to do it sooner than later. Like, is that a scary thing because you mentioned Hall of Famers and people needing to take a back seat, but they're the ones that have consistently drawn throughout the years. Like, is that a I don't want to say troubling, but like, is that a concerning time for a promotion?
Anytime a wrestling roster needs flipped, it's always an unsettling time. Veterans are, and I'm not saying this is the case for New Japan, but you've got veterans who are, a lot of times in the States we hear about guys protecting their spots and not wanting to help the young guys get over. I don't get the sense with that. In fact, I was pleasantly, not surprised, I was pleasantly pleased to see Shota and Naito get into it, because that to me seems like, okay, and at the end of this, Shota's going to be further along than he was when he came back from Excursion. When he first walked out at Korakuen, it was silence, like nobody knew him. It was weird. But then by the end of the second night on the year-end shows, the people were into him much more. So it's going to take time. It's going to take the right buy-in from the veterans to say, okay, I understand, and now we're going to begin to move forward to get these young guys in place. I don't want to see Tenzan hobbling around. I don't want to see Honma hobbling around all the time. I want to see them every once in a while because it's nice and special when we do see them. But if they're mainstays on every card, it doesn't work. And moving some of the members of the third generation out and having them take dates in Noah and All Japan, et cetera, I think is good. But at the same time, the better part of that for New Japan is that it opens up spots for other people. with the borders open, there's no more excuses. There's talent all around the world that we've had ready to go. And now it's time to put them to work and let them do what they do best. So, I think that because again, if the houses are down, then of course the finger gets pointed back at the people who are setting the lineups. And I think that they always have a steady hand and a trust that what they're doing is going to work. And if everything stays consistent and everybody's healthy, then I think everything will be fine.
Now, you mentioned House of Torture earlier, and you actually said to us last year when we spoke to you on the podcast that it was up to the good guys to, step up their game in order to combat Evil and Dick Togo and co. And they've absolutely done that. So I'll give you a chance to take your victory lap, Kevin, and just talk to us a bit about how your enjoyment, I say use that term loosely, of House of Torture matches has shifted in 2022, if at all. Because with things like the Taguchi versus Sho Banana match and the Best of the Super Juniors, the Evil versus Zack TV title semi-final with the Young Lions getting involved, feels to me that they are a very different entity to the one that had people tearing their hair out last year. And of course, they're not on the Wrestle Kingdom main card at all. So, with Cheering back, do you think they have a place on the card?
Well, now I think it's on them because especially during the tag leagues, they became the Keystone Cops, the gang that couldn't shoot straight. And that's not right either. They were setting the traps and the snares and then stepping on the bomb themselves. Wile E. Coyote is, the blueprint, it would seem, for what the House of Torture is doing lately. For me, that doesn't work either. But I do enjoy laughing at them and, telling the story of it. Jesus, with their combined record in the tag leagues, if that was, they were 1-7 going into last night, and, managers get fired for records like that. Is there no accountability within Bullet Club? House of Torture, are they so secure within Bullet Club that nobody's going to look? How can Jay White, as leader of Bullet Club, and the House of Torture being a subgroup, how can Jay White sit there and say, oh, these guys are good and loyal and whatever? They suck. Their record is what their record is. So I enjoy it because now we get to laugh at them, and we also don't have to put up with them in as many big spots. I'll give them the never sixes. Sure, they can do that. But until they freshen up their act now, but I just, I think the lowest point of the year for me was that dog cage 6-man.
Welcome to the club. Yep.
that was not good, and hated it. So was happy when it was over. There needs to be an element of bad, but there also can't be elements on both sides of stupid. Because if either side is stupid, then people will just go, who cares?
Right.
And if you fall for the trick that the stupid guy puts on you, then you're stupid. Stupid doesn't draw. Stupid is never over. So everybody's smart enough, but, and if Clark Connors did it on the last night and they lost as a result, he had the wrench in his hand and he threw the wrench down, and then he went to fighting House of Torture. And it was one shot, and then he got shut down. Well, you had a wrench in your hand and the referee was down. Why didn't you just wallop everybody? It's dumb.
Yeah.
Don't be dumb.
Don't be dumb. That's well, not on this podcast, of course. Kevin, when is this Bullet Club Civil War that we've kind of talked ourselves into it happening? Maybe we've heard from other people that was the direction that we would see soon. Do you see that in the near future? And with all these breadcrumbs all over in these different promotions, like, is the juice worth the squeeze at this point?
I don't sense a civil war at all. I mean, that was the story going into last year's New Japan Cup. And I thought we settled it when everybody chose Team J. And as a result, Tama, especially Tama, what a, fresh coat of paint on him.
Yeah.
I think I don't sense that they're on the verge of breakup. as we sit here and speak before Wrestle Kingdom. Of course, I could be completely wrong, but I just don't see that happening. I mean, it could.
Right.
Absolutely. But that was the story last year. I don't think that would be the story this year.
Yeah. It just seems
It
like
would be tiresome. It would be tiresome to do it again.
I would agree.
Because I would just be like, all right, let us know when it's over, because I can't sit there and have squabbling across the schoolyard. Just fight each other or whatever. Get along or shut up.
Right. Do what you got to do. Let's transition to this year's Wrestle Kingdom, which I think me, Joel, and I think our listeners are super excited for. And it seems like, and correct me if I'm wrong, this card seems tight. Zero fat, a lot of steak. But with that, you even mentioned that some standouts needed to take a back seat, like Ishii or Shingo. Do you see this as that show, that bridge to a new era in New Japan?
I do, but there's a caveat to that. Because it is Wrestle Kingdom, it's taken on a little bit more this year for me, a little bit more of a WrestleMania feel, where some outsiders are taking some big spots, which we've seen over the last few years, especially with Jericho, and now Kenny coming back. That would have been tailor-made for a Shingo or an Ishii against a Will Ospreay, and those matches would be great. But instead, we get Kenny coming back. Okay. Then another match on the card is for the IWGP Women's Championship, Tam Nakano against Kairi. Awesome, great, history-making, but that's a match that would be, in years past, not on Wrestle Kingdom, and therefore we would need to have another match, and that might be the spot for a Taichi or some of those guys to be involved in. The school of thought, even though we don't know any names, is that everybody that we're talking about and more will be part of the Rambo, which is cool because it's the KOPW launch, and then the final four go to Dash and wrestle for the new belt, No More Trophy. So I think that. And then also the Ren Narita Zack Sabre Jr. match around a new title that was created. That gives us another kind of match. And I think some people would have, if it was Katsuyori Shibata, whose, name continues to come up. It's like, when are we going to see him? And I don't know the answer to it. I do know Shibata wants to come back and wants to wrestle. We're seeing that, coming up here, tomorrow night as we record. So yeah, there's obvious names that are not part of the main Wrestle Kingdom card that we would love to see, but there is no fat. It's trimmed down to one day. And as a result, we're going to get a show that starts 3:30 local time and probably won't be over until 9 p.m., which for me is totally fine. 5.5, 6 hour Wrestle Kingdom. Yeah, I mean, we're starting the main show with the junior tag titles, as it should be. So it's kind of going back to some traditions, but at the same time, it's got a little bit more star power from outside forces. And of course, the rumors about Sasha Banks or, Mercedes, she continues to, she's garnering headlines as everybody's speculating about whether or not we'll see her at Wrestle Kingdom. I have no idea, but, so there is a little bit of that celebrity vibe, outside star vibe that makes this Wrestle Kingdom for me a little bit different. But at the same time, like you said, there's something for everybody, and there's a lot of meat on the bone in terms of the money matches. I think one of the biggest matches in Japan is the four-way match for the junior title. I think there is more intrigue in that in Japan than there is worldwide, even though, of course, it's people are interested in it. But that match is going to draw considerable interest from the Japanese fans.
Yeah, I think even Western fans too.
Yeah, but more so than Kenny Omega's return.
Okay.
I mean that. I think that Kenny Omega's return means more to the worldwide audience, and as a result, a bigger draw. But in terms of Japan itself, They love those 4 guys,
Right.
and they want to see them. They have no idea what's going to happen, and they just want to see it. So I think that those 4 guys have done an awesome job of setting the table for what we're going to see on January 4th.
Kevin, your answers give me so many questions, and I literally had 3 lined up, and now I'm going to have to move one up. God damn
No,
it.
ask away, please.
No, well, let's start here first. Do you find, and again, this podcast we like to think is a nice voice for those Western fans to express their love and concerns with New Japan. Do you think that we missed the boat when it comes to what the Japanese fans like as opposed to what we like?
No, I don't think so. But because you're not Japanese fans, you know what I mean? So it's you are seeing what you're seeing, and you are voicing your opinions based upon how you feel. Your eyes are your eyes. That a lot of, and this is one of the things that to where we don't have as much immediacy on a lot of this stuff with translations and things like that. They do the best they can, but we haven't spent, we being on the production side, let's say, I don't think we've spent enough time delving into the hows and whys of what makes this 4-way match, for example, so interesting to the Japanese fans. What are we missing? Well, that's up to us to tell that story. And I think we've done, it's a, because we got Kushida waiting in the wings, which is easy. They could have done Kushida versus Ishimori at Wrestle Kingdom, and it would have been great. Or they could have thrown Kushida in instead of Master Wato. But now they're holding off on Kushida because he was, on the illness list with hand, foot, and mouth disease. And if anybody's ever had kids and has gotten that, it sucks. I never had it, but friends of mine did.
Yeah.
And, babies just walk around touching their poo and touching their mouth, and then you get it, and it's like, oh, Jesus.
I think Joel has it right now. I think Joel has it right now. Yeah.
Joel, kids coming out every other day now. He's got,
I know. He's so fertile. It's unbelievable.
Right. He's like, he'll have an NBA squad before too long. But I understand the, we want to hear more from Kenny Omega. We want to hear more. We don't do enough with the AEW guys. There's not enough interaction between Switchblade, Jay White, and Okada. I get it. I agree with you. It's lacking in that regard. And I think that's one of the reasons why the junior title match is garnering attention in Japan, because those guys have been consistent on cards and have been working opposite each other since October. So it's kind of been beaten into their heads, man. This match is happening January 4th. Did you know? It's the matchup graphic at the bottom of every match that any of the 4 are involved in. So the promotion has done a great job of selling an easy to sell match, but for the Western fans, they need a little bit more. They need the explanation of the why. And we, as the producing arm of New Japan Pro Wrestling, we have not, I don't think, done enough in that regard.
Now, you mentioned the name Shibata, so I have to ask. This is a guy that has been pretty much everywhere except the New Japan ring.
Right.
What is the story here?
I do not know.
No.
I talked to Shibata a while ago, and he was excited about his impending return, and he didn't explain how, when, or why. Well, I guess it wound up being an AEW, and that to me was sort of like that's a miss. That's a big miss. It's good for AEW. It's good for New Japan fans to watch AEW, but at the same time, that's not what we want. That's not what fans want. Fans want Shibata to come back in and reclaim his spot. I think Shibata, and this is just my opinion, I think Shibata feels he's good enough, healthy enough to reclaim his old spot. That whatever has happened in the past is in the past, and he feels great. He feels 100%, and he should be able to go. But we know from history that Shibata went his own path once in his career, and then came back to New Japan several years later. He doesn't have that much time now, but that might be the scenario that we're looking at.
You mentioned Mercedes Varnado, Sasha Banks earlier as well. Are you ready for, if she does turn up, her fan base, her extremely vocal online fan base? Are you prepared for that, Kevin?
Oh, I was unaware, and pardon my ignorance, I was unaware that she had a vocal fan base more so than any other wrestler's fan base. Are they vociferous in their opinion?
They certainly are.
Are they combative? Are they a combative lot?
They can be. They certainly can be, Kevin.
Well, not with me.
All right. I'm just making sure that you're going to be okay with it.
What are they going to say?
I don't know. They'll send you emojis or something. I don't know what the fuck they do.
Well, listen, you send them's fighting emojis. I'll draw a line at the emoji. But no, she's a freaking star. She's awesome. She's an awesome wrestler. I've known her since she was a teenager. She attended a seminar of mine before she was anything. And I just remember like, wow, this little girl, man, she's awesome. And then, saw all of her great moments in WWE and was like, wow, that's so cool that I met her when she was just a teenager. And now here she is, this bona fide worldwide star. I think it's cool.
Yeah, absolutely is. I mean,
I'll give him Joel's number if they get too uppity.
Yeah, send them his way.
Really, just my man Joel is taking all the Mercedes Varnado questions.
Yeah, he can handle them. I can't. I you know me. I can't do it.
Yeah, I'm the lightning rod for the podcast. I've done it before. I'll do it again. All right, let's talk about Karl Anderson then. He's been a very controversial figure for the last 6 months. Obviously,
everybody hates him, and I don't get it.
Well, yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you. I mean, with the benefit of hindsight, do you think New Japan made the right call in bringing him in? Like, was there a net benefit for the company here?
Well, I mean, I don't have the balance sheet in front of me, but I don't see the harm. I don't see the bad that it did. It set up a Wrestle Kingdom match between former Core 4 members of Bullet Club, and Karl fired the first shot, then stole the Never title, then kept it in controversial fashion over 2 challengers, and now goes to Wrestle Kingdom and defends it against the man who he stole it from. And it should be a great match with a ton of callbacks and history because of their days together as the founding members of Bullet Club. It's really nothing more than that. I don't get the hate. I really don't. People are entitled to their opinion. You guys, of course, you know that better than anybody, but I just don't. I don't get it. I look at Karl Anderson. I look at Karl Anderson as one of the most important wrestlers, one of the most important foreign wrestlers in New Japan. He has to be in the top 10 all time because of his longevity and the things that he did. The matches that he had, Bullet Club, good, bad, or indifferent. It's a worldwide T-shirt selling phenomenon, and he's got a proven track record of top notch work. So I think it's maybe he slowed down a little bit, but he's in his 40s, but I get it. I understand, and I see both sides. I do, but I disagree. Okay,
and you also talked about the main event. You talked about Jay White. Looking at the build for Kazuchika Okada versus Jay White, I think, as you mentioned, it's fair to say a lot of excitement among the Western fan base at least lies elsewhere on the card. Like, how do you feel about the main event and Jay White in particular? Because it feels like something's missing there, doesn't it?
Well, I feel like Jay he more so than anybody else has voiced the frustration of the foreign wrestler and the hypocrisy and the lack of common sense that these rules in Japan have. And that's Jay's personality. He's a question asker. He doesn't follow the rules blindly. If you tell him to do something, his first thing is, well, why? Why are we doing this? And I appreciate that. Wise beyond his years in that regard. And a little different than what we're used to in, the culture and, seeing New Japan Pro Wrestlers. So he's, kind of done things his own way in that regard. And I think he's frustrated with, the way things are, making noise, etc. Plus, he's been in spots where there's been no cheering. And there's been other times where I felt like if he would have been there, it might have been a different story. If he would have been in Nagoya, where the fans could make noise, or at a Korakuen at a cheering event, you almost would have said, okay, we've got cheering in this one. Let me make sure I got Jay on this card. We don't have cheering here. We don't need Jay. Just because I sense his frustration and I feel it. And I don't want that from the world champion. I want the world champion to be in control of everything, which is what he likes. And he's not in control of, fans being able to make noise.
Not for nothing, Kevin, but he's living the life right now on that farm and just living the life with his girlfriend. It's unbelievable. Why would he? Yeah. Why would he go?
Well, why would he when he? Does he have to defend the world title? No. All right. I'm going to sit my happy ass here and, in Florida, raising chickens and cutting grass and just chilling out.
Yeah. He's living the life. I think we're all living through him, through his Instagram. Look, I think everyone's excited for it. I know everyone's excited for it. And
yes.
It's finally buzzworthy once again for New Japan.
The buzz is buzzable?
The buzz, as we like to say, is buzzable. I hope you use that at least once on Wrestle
I will have to now because you said it.
The buzz is buzzable. Did you think that you called your last Kenny Omega match years ago, or did you think it was just a matter of time before you wrestled in a New Japan ring again?
That's a good question. I thought about it. And, at first blush, you say, oh, yeah, that was probably it. But then, something will change. Somebody will make nice with somebody. Everything will be all right. And Kenny will come back for a big show here or there. We had to believe that would happen. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people thought they would never see Kenny in Japan again. I never heard it from anybody within the company, but certainly with what Kenny's doing now, would there be a reason for him to come back to New Japan? Well, there's a reason now. And I think that's pretty cool.
Love it. Is Will Ospreay, and again, going into this match, it won't count in our year-end awards, but do you think he's New Japan's Wrestler of the Year?
Has to be.
Yeah. Unbelievable, right?
Has to be.
Is it one of the best years that you've ever seen in a pro wrestler?
Especially when you consider his health.
Right.
What he's done from how great was, you get a controversial decision once or twice, maybe once, but there were 3 matches in a row that had questions surrounding the referee's call, and there was legitimacy to Will Ospreay's bitch. Did he really tap out against Zack Sabre Jr.? So every time he lost, there was a question surrounding it. The match with David Finlay, to me, when you saw that, I was like, okay. I mean, Finlay was great. Finlay is great, but there is no one else like Will Ospreay. It's ridiculous. And he's a little banged up in the G1, and that affected him a little bit. But he pulled it together and was able to, have that incredible finale with Okada. But yeah, it was something else.
And not only in ring, but just outside, his presence. Again, United Empire being maybe a big factor in that. He just seems like every year he's improving upon himself. And then, I mean, where do you go from here?
Well, I think you just continue to build upon the success. And at some point, there's going to be a dump truck of money driven up to his house by somebody who's going to try to secure his services. And it's going to be a decision that he's going to have to make. Maturing. We've seen a more mature Will Ospreay. He is, and I don't think he gets enough credit for this because it's not something that we talk about on air or he talks about, but he's one of the most selfless when it comes to, we should give this guy a shot. I think he's great. And that's kind of the people that he's surrounded himself with in the United Empire, which makes the faction organic and makes it, you kind of root for these guys because, and let's face it, they're not bad guys. They don't break the rules. They wrestle aggressively, but they pretty much just win on, they win or lose with athleticism. And then if you go back and you watch World Tag League, when Aaron Hanare and the Great O'Khan wrestled Aussie Open, and Aussie Open gets the win, and then Gideon Gray gets on the mic and basically says what Will Ospreay would have said in that situation, which is, this is the way that this needs to be done. That when you have as much at stake as these guys do, and regardless of who your relationship is with, you fight to the death. You fight because this means everything, and not just in wrestling, but no matter what you do in your life. And I was like, hell yeah, I can't stand Gideon Gray, but man, that was awesome. And that's the philosophy that Will Ospreay has. You're going to be, yes, some things may not work out, but just freaking go balls to the wall and give it everything you've got. And that Gambate Kudasai kind of was a mantra. And I felt like, some guys maybe need to listen to what Ospreay is preaching, because it's really good. And he's had a fantastic year to back it up.
Now, you talked there about the very strong possibility that other companies are going to come sniffing around and offers are going to be made. And with the likes of Karl Anderson and Jonah and Fred Rosser making their way or thinking about making their way back to WWE and other promotions for that matter, do you think New Japan needs to work harder to stop this from happening, or is this just part and parcel of the business?
Part and parcel of the business. I think that Jonah's role was written before he got there. Now, did the change in management going back to Triple H, did that open things up? I believe so. And I think Triple H has done an outstanding job of, look at what Karl Anderson appearing at Wrestle Kingdom, Shinsuke Nakamura appearing in Noah on January 1st. Listen, if they're willing to work with New Japan will be willing to work with them. And I don't think anybody would cry or complain. So I think that, there is going to be some of that. Some of the guys that Vince may not have seen anything in that Triple H does. And that's business. It's up to New Japan to not be, poor mouthing. You can't not pay people equal to or, close to what they're making in WWE, which is a lot of money, and then cry and complain and say, well, we just can't compete. No, I'm sorry. You're not the Pittsburgh Pirates. Come on. Right. I don't need you to be the New York Mets, all hail. But I also, you can't have it both ways. So there is going to be some roster movement and some people who go back or come over. We don't know. It used to, again, for the past 2 years, it's been roster attrition on their part with everybody wanting to leave, and now everybody wants to go back. And all it took was a change of management. So New Japan is always kind of in that, it's that steady spot that you're going to work hard, you're going to get over, you're going to get new eyes on you, you're going to be a bigger star than after you come here. You're certainly not going to get as rich as if you were in WWE in a top spot, but you'll be well compensated for what you do. And then if you decide to leave, that's up to you.
Now, speaking of these collaborations with other companies, we've seen New Japan working closely with a whole range of promotions in 2022. They worked with Noah, Stardom, AEW, RevPro, GLEAT, Impact. Where do you think New Japan have gained the most? And do you have your eye on any of these partnerships in particular for 2023?
Well, obviously, I think in terms of the North American fan base, you have to say AEW, because they have, that Forbidden Door show was awesome.
It was great.
Just for what it was. And I think that if there's more of that, more matches, more build up, let's really put a plan together to how we're going to line everything out. And we can't just throw it together last minute. Then it's just going to continue to grow and continue to be great. Obviously Stardom is, special, and it's been written about quite a bit, quite extensively, and rightfully so. History, it's having that first crossover show, and now Kairi and Tam Nakano at the Dome in a singles match for an IWGP Women's title 5 years ago. People were screaming for that. Well, now we're there. Now we got it, and I think that's really awesome. I'm not sure. I had more hopes for the Noah partnership. I don't know if we're going to see as much of that. We might see more. I'm not sure, but I think that that would be just interesting, especially for the Japanese fans, because those guys. It's very much a niche audience in North America, but obviously Western fans do know who their top stars are if they're a fan of New Japan. But I think in terms of Japan, wow. I mean, those are dream matches that you want to see. We gave them a little taste of it last year, and fans have wanted to see it again.
Do you sense that A, we'll see another Forbidden Door show, and B, would that be more than likely in the U.S. or in Japan?
Well, I obviously see a second Forbidden Door. I mean, it was such a financial success. I think it has to. Having it in Japan would be interesting. I hadn't thought about it prior. I'd be interested to see if the AEW guys are as over in Japan, outside of Moxley, outside of Kenny Omega. I mean, the middle of the card guys that are really popular with the AEW fan base. I'd be interested to see if they got what kind of reaction they would get in Japan. Would the people know scissor me daddy ass? Would they understand the Acclaimed? Would they get an Orange Cassidy in Japan? I'm not sure. I think they would. I think especially when like Tom Lawler came out and they got with the filthy clap right away. They were doing that whole deal, and they knew his act when he showed up. So maybe I don't give them enough credit for being as worldly as Western fans. But yeah, I think it could be in either spot. I'd be interested to see how the reaction would be. But obviously there's a much bigger pay-per-view market in the U.S. And if we're talking about, $1 million gate, we're talking about, a significant audience on pay-per-view, it may need to be in the U.S.
Wells Fargo Center, WrestleMania weekend might be a nice spot. I don't know.
Good luck getting that venue. But yeah, your point's well taken. But I don't think we need to chase the fans. I think the fans would come. What if it was an MSG?
Sure. I mean, we're due, right?
Yeah. We're due. We were supposed to have one in 20, and that all got shut down, but why not? And what might that mean? I don't think it would be the financial success that the United Center show was, just because the costs in New York are so extravagant. But could you pull $1.5 million out of 18,000 people to come to MSG? Yeah, probably. And I think there's cachet with running that venue. So yeah, I think it would be great and would draw fans from all over the world. AEW doesn't quite have that, we must travel to see this big show. A little bit for their pay-per-views, but not as much as it was when they first started. That was just people that was like a dead tour, making pilgrimages far and beyond their normal, if WWE's in my town, I'll go see it. But they were traveling, they were taking flights to do that. Now it's just more steady. But yeah, something like that in an MSG would be freaking awesome.
For the first time in your travels to Japan for a Wrestle Kingdom show that you are working, Hiroshi Tanahashi is not in a singles match. And again, not wrestling for a major title, but he is in arguably the highest, I guess, I don't want to say marquee match to a Japanese audience, but there's a lot there. There is a ton there. Is that weird for you? And again, it kind of harkens back to, is this sort of a passing of the torch?
Yes and no, because the Muto match is unique. And were it not for Keiji Muto's retirement, would we be doing a special match involving him and taking Naito and Tanahashi off the table? it's fair. And I think that's part of the story. I do appreciate the fact that, we do get to tell that story. I could imagine under a much more controlled environment, let's say in Stanford, we might not be able to tell that story, but we're able to, and we have to shine the light that it deserves because of who Tanahashi is and his track record of big matches. Since 2005, in Tokyo Dome, it's like this is the house that Tanahashi built in the modern era. So, it went from 6,000 to 26,000 to 36,000 to then 70,000 over 2 nights, with Tanahashi being instrumental in all of that growth. So I think that it can be, it's not the end, and obviously but the beginning of the end has been, the wheels have been in motion for this over the last few years. So it's not the long goodbye, but it's the long, okay, he might get one more run. We could buy him chasing one more time at the top. He might even get it. And if he does, then we celebrate that moment. We just, he goes out on his own terms whenever he's ready, and he's given everything that he has and then some. So I just want him to always be, he's always going to be treated like a star because he is, and he's in an extremely high profile match. But you look at the way that, it's set up with, Keiichi Muto, Hiroshi Tanahashi, and Shota Umino. Okay. So obviously we are setting the table for the generation past, the generation present, and the generation future in that match.
Where again, I know Joel, you'll take it from here, but where would you put Hiroshi Tanahashi? You've worked with some literally legends of this business. Where would you put Hiroshi Tanahashi on your list?
He's equal to The Undertaker. Undertaker for me gets my vote of all-time greatest wrestling star. Obviously, Hulk Hogan and The Rock, and then Stone Cold Steve Austin, Ric Flair, number 4. But Flair more in the wrestling category. But as of late, of course, he's been much more of a societal thing. Everybody woos, and you hear it in every venue, and everybody knows that's Ric Flair. But when you look at just the workhorse and the reliable and consistent, and then again, how many times business was down in WWF and they had to put, we had to get The Undertaker heated up again, and here he goes. And we need a big match for WrestleMania, and here he goes. So, yeah, I put him equal to that in that level of greatness. And then, of course, in Japan, he's much more like a Hulk Hogan. He is one of the biggest stars of all time in wrestling in totality, specifically in Japan, and still makes you believe, still makes me believe. And that's part of the magic of wrestling.
So looking ahead to 2023, let's have your hot take predictions. What are you most excited about? Who's going to be the dark horse? Or anything else that you might happen over the next 12 months?
Well, let's think. So I already gave you my Forbidden Door at MSG. I don't have any intel on that, but that would be an awesome spot for that. I think that the members of Suzuki-gun I think there might be a couple of people absorbed into other factions, but I don't see like Taichi in Hontai or Bullet Club. I think Taichi, Despe, Kanemaru, Doki, those 4 kind of do their own thing and become their own faction, something different over time. It won't have a name, but I think over time it will organically grow into what the next iteration of their previous faction would be. Different, of course. And what else? Let me think if we would see, all right, will we see a retirement in 23? I think that we might see a couple of the third generation guys step away over the next year or 2.
Is that a pastrami sandwich, Kevin?
What do you mean?
Is that a we use the term pastrami sandwich as a pretty much a lock of happening.
Oh no,
Okay.
I would
No pastrami. Okay.
I wouldn't go that far.
All right.
But if you told me that a Togi Makabe might walk away over the next couple of years, it wouldn't shock me. If Tenzan wouldn't shock me. I think, that would be, I would say those are probably your safest bets. What else? More new names for Best of Super Junior, for G1. Who else might I think the LA Dojo is in a state now where, and I was talking to DKC about this, that I think there's going to be some new guys making their way into the LA Dojo, just because now Carl's not there anymore. Clark has, graduated. Coughlin, Gabe Kidd, etc. Those guys have graduated. Kevin Knight seems to be, he came in with black trunks, black boots, and then Kushida went and bought him matching gear, Kevin Knight style gear. So that obviously means he can't go back to black trunks, black boots. So who's going to be next at the LA Dojo? We'll see some of that. What else? I think, this is just a random thought. I think that we're going to see more AEW guys on Strong in the coming year.
Okay.
And maybe it's got something to do with ROH. I don't know. That's just, because they're building this new brand, right? And if they're doing something on Honor Club, wouldn't it make sense for them also to have some guys just be kind of part of, why couldn't there be an ROH faction on New Japan Strong?
Sure. Just
to have some presence on another vehicle outside of just Honor Club. So I think that could be something happening. And that was just me thinking about that on the plane coming home after the last taping. Like, because I saw Tony's press conference and where they're going to have ROH, and I think that's great. It's fine. It could be it doesn't need to be on broadcast television, cable television. It can be, solely a internet product, and I think that's cool. But yeah, I could see that happening. And again, that would be a Tony Khan decision. But I think that New Japan would be open to that. Obviously, it would help freshen things up with Strong, and we don't know what kind of lineups they're going to be able to put together in the new year, because will the mainstays of Strong, will they factor more in on New Japan cards in Japan? To be determined. What else? I don't know. I don't really have a pastrami sandwich for you.
It sounds like a peppery ham to me. I'm not going to lie.
Okay. All right.
It's a peppery ham.
Listen, I'll get that new smoker out and I'll make something, and then I'll let have some brisket, and I'll slice it. And the meat just falls apart and the juices are coming through.
Kev, come on, stop that.
Santa Claus was good to me.
Yeah.
And you have to come to the debut of American Excellence Wrestling on January the 7th.
I was going to mention that.
Historic Hamburg Fieldhouse.
Yes, talk to me about that, because I'm excited for it. I will be in attendance.
Woohoo!
And I think many in the Philadelphia suburban area can take a little hike up to the historic Hamburg Fieldhouse, where, correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of WWF tapings were there, right?
So much so that Vince Sr. paid for and had hung a lighting rig for his television lights, and it's still in use.
Wow.
Still hanging there. And it's been there since the 70s.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, the wrestling history of this venue is to the television audience, it's equal to the Dallas Sportatorium or the 106 North Albany, the Tampa Sportatorium, maybe the Olympic Auditorium to a certain extent. Great television venues over the years. The Hamburg Fieldhouse, it has to be at the top of the list. It's not just historic, but it's also still to this day a vibrant, great venue. We can seat 1,500 comfortably in there. And what we're doing is we're turning the table. Basically, we're changing the culture of wrestling in Pennsylvania, which for the longest time, since the death of ECW, has been pitiful. Not making any stars, not having any intriguing matches. Every once in a while, a local indie would have a show coming up nearby where I live, which is like an hour west of Hamburg, and I would see the poster in the grocery store. And I would look and go, who the hell would go to this show? Under any circumstances, gun to my head, I wouldn't go to this, and I live in the town. What are we doing? Well, the reason is because somewhere along the way, everybody lost the plot. Wrestling schools have been, up and down, and there's just been a lot of old carny elements that have been bred out. And in the absence of any sort of structure, there has just been nothing. It's a state of 12 million people with 14 state-funded universities. And you mean to tell me that we can't get decent athletes who want to have a career in professional wrestling that would stay here instead of maybe going to train at WrestlePro or Create Pro or Maryland Championship Wrestling or other schools around the country that are real feeders for WWE, AEW, etc. And I say, that's not true, but this is what they've done. So we're changing the culture of Pennsylvania wrestling. We're also putting the emphasis not on super indie style matches, but we're just going to keep it very simple. It's minor league baseball. We want 10,000 different people to maybe come to one or two events a year, just like they would with minor league baseball. You don't know who's playing. That's okay. We're here to support a charity. We're here to have a good night out. We're here to, go for a cause. And we're coming up with the causes. So one of the first things we're working with is Keystone Military Families, which is a food bank specifically for like National Guard troops who get called up, and then their families are kind of left like, well, what do we do now? Because, dad had a great job and he left that job because he got called up with his National Guard commitment and he's going to be gone for X number of months. Those families need help. Yeah. So this is a food bank that we're helping with, bringing canned goods in, and then monetary donations and things like that. We're doing we're working with the Special Olympics. We're going to have a bunch of Special Olympians and their families in attendance. There's a Hamburg wrestling tournament. Hamburg Area High School is hosting a wrestling tournament on the day of January 7th, our first event. So we reached out, we called the athletic director, and we said, hey, if any wrestlers are interested in coming to our event, just show up and just tell us where you're from and you can get in for free. We want those types of people to come to our shows. And so the first one is going to be like, we're kind of dropping the cow. Like, we're doing everything. We've got a ton of people in, vendors are bringing in different, autographs, for purchase, like Deonna Purrazzo and Savio Vega and Miguel Perez, Ricardo Rodriguez. There's a bunch of, stars that are going to be there just signing autographs. They're not part of the wrestling card. And then the wrestling card itself is going to be a real tight array of, I think we got 8 matches booked. That's too many matches for me, but such is the case. And it's going to be a lot of people that nobody's ever heard of before, but you know what? They know what their job is. And we're going to have good guys versus bad guys. Tell me that isn't crazy. Right. The bad guy is going to be really bad, and the good guy is going to be really good. And the good guy is going to have to fight. And that's what people want. It's not poorly constructed, would-be sports entertainment matches. Because I've watched the crowds in Hamburg, and they don't care. But you know what? When the guys start throwing hands and it starts feeling real, that's when the people get up. So that's what we're going to give them.
It sounds very early 90s East Coast wrestling feel, where those like your Kentners and your Carluzos and your Tommy Fierros who would be running these shows for these same reasons. Was that something that was missing for you personally, getting involved in something like this?
Yes.
Yep. Talk about that.
I've wanted to do this for a while. I've had that promoter itch, and I couldn't find the right venue or the right opportunity to get involved. It's the only thing that I haven't done in wrestling is promote my own shows. And now I'm doing it. I've got a lot of help, don't get me wrong, but the idea, what I did was I came into an existing company, and I got them to rebrand it and think differently. Let's stop trying to be sports entertainment light and let's give them wrestling. There's 2 dressing rooms that are not connected that we weren't using. I said, we're going to be using these dressing rooms now. And the guys are going to have to figure it out. I don't want a bunch of fake choreographed crap. I want real. And it doesn't have to be pretty. I don't care about pretty. I want to struggle. And out of it, the fans are going to get invested in it. And they're not going to know the people that are wrestling now. They might. There's some local guys on there. Don't get me wrong. We didn't just completely get rid of everybody. But there's young guys that we're featuring that we are going to have on every show. And so we're going to build around them. But they need experienced guys to come in and teach them what to do. So we found, again, Bob Evans is booking with me, and so much of what we've done over the past 10 years has been seminars, and we've seen a lot of guys, and it's like, wow, I would love to do something with him. Well, now we've got the chance. So we got Derek Neal coming in. We've got John Schuyler coming in. We've got, over the next few months, we're going to have a bunch of other experienced veterans that, again, those diamonds in the rough that nobody's heard of. When the time is right, we'll have some LA Dojo. We'll have some young lions from there being on the shows. Rocky's probably going to come in at some point. And so there'll be a little bit of something for everybody, but the real main interest is let's draw attention and shine a bright light on this incredible historic wrestling venue, as well as the local community of Hamburg and all of the charities and all of those fundraising opportunities that we can work with. Because the more that we do that, the wrestling is secondary. If we can help other people, the fans will come. If we're just trying to promote wrestling, we'll be like everybody else that draws anywhere between 20 and 100 people for their shows with the same 40-miler faces at every card. And it's like, okay, I've seen enough. I want something different. And this is finally getting to do what I want to do.
That is awesome. Listen, if you're in the Allentown, again, Hamburg, Harrisburg, Philadelphia suburbs, Pottstown, New Jersey, South Jersey, where I'm at. And I'm taking the ride. It's not that far, but maybe an hour and a half for me. First event is going to take place on Saturday, January 7th. So I hope to see everyone at the historic Hamburg Field House. I will be there with bells on, and I am so looking forward to it. And I'm actually really thrilled for you because I know this is something that you've kind of working on, and to see it finally come to pass is going to be – you got a busy January. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I land on the 6th after the Dome on the 4th, Dash on the 5th, fly home on the 6th, Hamburg, and the debut of AXW on the 7th. Then on the 8th, it's Farm Show. Then on the 9th, the Sugar Fast begins. So I will be extremely miserable for a couple of weeks in January, but it's going to be worth it.
All right.
Kevin, thank you so much for taking the time.
I'm insane, Joel, right? I'm insane. Tell me.
No, we're all going to do it. I'm going to be back on the diet. This is what happens over Christmas. I just eat until none of my work clothes fit me anymore, and then I have something's got to be done. I either buy new clothes or go on a diet, and one of them is cheaper than the other. So
hey, you know who's going to be sitting front row on January 7th? Damon.
I'm hoping it's that Gino Gambino.
No. January 7th.
I will.
Hamburg.
Me.
You will be.
Yeah.
You and Eric, of course, will be there, and others.
Yes.
But Hat Guy's going to be there.
Oh, no. Really?
Yeah.
I haven't seen him in years.
I know.
I'll tell you what. Him and remember Stan the fan?
Yes.
Oh, my God. His mom? Oh, my God. Unbelievable. Good times.
It's going to be awesome. And hopefully we would see Gino on January 4th. I don't know. Maybe.
Fingers crossed.
All right.
I mean, Joel's going to wrap it up. Do you have anything you got to plug, Kev?
Just if you want to listen, send me. I said this on the last couple shows of the year. If what was your match of the year in New Japan? What was your moment of the year? I told you mine. I said them on the broadcast. Who are your top tag teams of the year? I got the PWI list. I made my own top 3 with FTR, Aussie Open, Bishamon, and I was right. The 2 finalists for World Tag League in the right to face FTR. So I look like a smart guy. But what do you got? What do you want to hear? What do you want to see in the new year? Drop me a note at Real Kevin Kelly on Twitter. I got a Facebook fan page, Kevin Kelly as well. So chime on there, jump on there, and share your thoughts. And because I want to know what the peoples are thinking.
As do we. Kevin, it is always a pleasure. It has been a tradition for 4 or 5 years now. And
yes,
again, I don't want to speak for Joel, but I know that we truly appreciate it. I know our listeners do. And have fun on the 4th. Have fun on the 7th. I'll see you there. I hope some brisket will be in a little aluminum foil pouch, and we'll be nibbling front row.
No, I won't have time to cook it.
God, come on! I know,
bro. I'll be in Japan. But no, and then if anybody can't make it January 7th, we got another event on February 18th. We got dates all booked all the way through the end of 2024, and by 2025 we'll be doing 750 to 1,000 paid every show.
Awesome. That's what I want to hear. Kevin, have a great trip. Enjoy yourself, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, guys. Happy New Year.
You got it.
Get ready, Ohio. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, is coming to the Buckeye State. And to kick things off, you can get started with $100 in free bets as an early sign-up bonus. Just download FanDuel's top-rated sportsbook app. Make every moment more with FanDuel. 21 plus and present in Ohio. Bonus issued and non-withdrawable free bets that expire 30 days after FanDuel accepts its first real money sports wager in Ohio. Go live date. Unique user identity verification required. Offer ends on the go live date. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.